Hey, how's it going?
It's going all right. The best thing in my life has come home after many days away. That would be my wonderful lady Peach Saliva, who I can see wobbling down the stairs with the aid
Hey,
of her cane and five, count 'em, five different types of pain medications of escalating power.
yeah. Mobility is back, though.
Yes, mobility and the ability to go to the bathroom at all has returned,
That's important.
which is great.
That's important.
The only downside that we seem to be able to find, aside from the fact that, I mean, she's walking with a K right now because her back's still hurt, is she seems listless, kind of sad, and we couldn't figure out why until I realized that upon coming out of the hospital, my wonderful lady is no longer chasing the dragon every 3 hours for 11 days straight and is probably
Oh,
straight kicking it right now.
yeah. Right. There's that part of it, too, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Like,
Going from 3 hours a day, what is that? 12? No, God. Oh no, that's bad. Eight, eight morphines a day to zero.
I mean, how many till you get that good old dependency, like, synapse?
Well, depends. Uh, the people that I've known on morphine are Paige and my dad, and the answer can be as low as one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Dad had his heart operation, and then when they blasted him with the morphine, he remarked to me, "I can see why people steal this." But he had like a fucking like torn open, sawed up rib cage,
Mm-hmm.
like heart operation. So that's different. But
Mm-hmm.
regardless, my life is starting to come back in order because I now have peach saliva to hassle me with a cane. However, apologies to those of you at home, particularly the live viewers who are now listening to this at 6 p.m. because the people fixing the cracks in my house, the leaks in my house, are digging up my yard all day with robots and jackhammers and pickaxes and yelling and listening to rap music.
That's
Terrible,
cool.
terrible French rap music
Oh,
in
France or
my
Quebec?
backyard. Oh yeah,
Depends.
definitely get back.
Okay, all right. Because France is all
Uh,
right, but mm,
as a result, as a result, it is not a workable scenario up until about 5:30 p.m. So y'all will be getting your live podcasts later in the day, and probably your regular ass recorded podcasts in the Tuesday area, which is actually the real podcast day that everybody likes to forget.
yeah, um, possibly, yeah, yeah, possibly a little later than the usual, but everything moves a little bit. So they disappear into the night, do they?
Well, it's dark as shit right now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
unless they want to set up floodlights, I don't see how they can do yard work
Yeah, that's
and the
also
digging.
probably violating like OSHA.
Also, they started at 8 a.m., so like they definitely put in a whole
Full
day
day's work.
of hard working, man. My
Okay.
yard looks like a it doesn't look like a yard anymore. It looks like someone is digging for gold.
Well, the topic of construction in Montreal tends to um, never be one of, hey, look, they put in an honest day's work. So,
Well, it's different because I asked these guys to come here.
right, right, fair enough.
I was like, "Hello, can you please come to my house and
You
fix the
can't
part with the water?" And they went, "Okay."
can't do a no show on like a requested job, I suppose. You know,
It's
for
also it would be very difficult to really fuck the dog on it, as I can turn my head and just see if they're working or not. It's not like it's
mhm.
in a hidden area of the house. Like I can look out that window and see them.
But you know that
if they were smoking the reefer and doing nothing at all, I would see it.
But you know that, like, sometimes if they're taking jobs at Grandmama Etienne's house, they might be, like, setting up the hole watcher to stand around and watch the hole.
Well, you gotta have a guy to watch the hole.
So.
You gotta. It's important. And I'm watching that guy watch the hole. It's important.
Hole watch supervision. Absolutely. So what's going on?
I had you know what's, hey, Wooly, did you know it's new console week?
Yeah, I suppose it is, isn't it?
Yeah, people are talking about new consoles. We have acquaintances and friends that have a hold of the new consoles. And then I look at my Amazon order that I got, and I'm like, hey, wait a second, that said it was going to be delivered on Friday. And now it says, I don't know, lol. What's up with that? And then one long conversation about, and I even, I don't know if you remember this, had contacted Amazon chat the following day and was like, hey man, am I definitely gonna get it? And I had a really nice consumer interaction with the Amazon man, and I tweeted photo of it because he was like, oh man, I tried to get one, I couldn't get one. I'm like, oh, thanks guy, to confirm that I was in fact ordering and had been guaranteed to get one on the Friday after the thing's launch. And then I talked to a nice lady. It's like, yeah, it never says in your file that you were on the first shipment. I'm like, what first shipment? We're like, well, it's possible that the manufacturer didn't send us the allotted amount that we had told them we needed to be sold. I'm like, wait, they didn't send you enough, or you oversold? The manufacturer didn't send us the allotment that we had attributed due to the... And it's like, oh, you oversold pre-orders massively. Good, great, okay. When's the second batch, lady? We're arguing with the manufacturer now, and we'll let you... thank you. Thank you for nothing. Thank you for literally nothing.
It's the same game it's always been. You know, nothing changes under the sun.
Game retail has been so fucked up ever since E.T. Everyone is so fucking terrified of sitting on even one extra unit or what have you.
Well, it's not just that, but it's like if you do a massive increase to your production up front and then you end up making a bunch to satisfy demand on launch, when that inevitably drops off very sharply, you have way too much production line, and that's pretty expensive. So
that's true.
It's more beneficial to have the scarcity occur up front and then have demand last longer and keep things overall big, grubby hand excite. And the buyer's market doesn't start occurring until way down the line, and it stays a seller's market for a very long time. That's just better for them as a company.
That is 100% on point. However, I retort with, I bought that console off Amazon before the listing even went live. So how many people got those how many people got notified that, your shit didn't actually count or whatever? It must be most people who, they must have massively oversold those things. Maybe I'm not some kind of genius, but if you don't have an item, you shouldn't sell it. That's my non-genius take.
Yeah.
If you don't have things, you shouldn't sell it.
Sure. But, you know, as discussed, pre-orders give you that quantifiable number beforehand. Lets them show that number off. You can get the big old investors high off of that. You get lots of benefits to basically going, hey, look, we can basically treat it as if we've made sales before the sales exist. It's true. There's
true.
there's few downsides except for the frustration that you feel right now. That's the only real
I
downside, and that's a downside to you. That's not a downside to them. So,
I have a better solution.
you know.
I have a better solution. You take those investors and you kindly imply that they should in fact go be dumped in the ocean and have a swim in the ocean.
So yeah, I saw Buttons got his hand on some buttons and
Yeah.
tried out the
Oh,
controller.
I'm gonna get the controller, no problem. Those have no problem.
Sounds good so far. The trigger concerns might be alleviated, so this is nice. I'm happy about that.
I saw people playing Doom music through the haptics,
Sure.
which is bizarre.
Saw some KOF 12 gameplay, which was fucking
12?
wild. 12. He played 12 with it. Like, oh, what a nut. Yeah, exactly. That's why.
He must really love those sprites.
And you know,
He must really, really love those sprites.
saw that. Obviously, you know, Gene's doing his thing, and a couple of you know, confirms things that were question marks are now hard confirms with it, right? So, you know, a bunch of it is on the
Bloodborne still runs like shit.
a bunch of it's on the docket, but you can see that Bloodborne is not going to be the dream 60 FPS version.
Nuh-uh.
And not only that, but the weirdest one being The Last Guardian will get 60 FPS on PS5 backwards compatibility only if you use the disc version.
Yeah, because it's not patched with an FPS lock.
Exactly. So the downloaded digital version has a patch on it that completely locks the FPS to 30. So another, you know, instance of like there's things about digital that are not great. It's such a weird ass outcome in the end that's unintended, and yeah, it's just I can't believe that's the case. But it's like when it launched, they didn't have a frame rate cap on it, and then they patched one in, and now the raw version of the game will play better and look better than the patched version. Fucking crazy.
I want to give a shout out to the Source, the shop formerly
The old
known
Radio
as
Shack.
Radio Shack, because they, when you pre-ordered your PS5 there, charged you outright immediately. And that shit disappeared right quick. And I inquired with them, hey, if my order says it's in process and you charged me, and the lady's like, oh no, you're gonna get it. Like we don't charge people for stuff that we don't have in stock.
Okay.
Like, great, thank you. I'm like, could you have the shipping go faster? Because it's only gonna show up on the 19th. And she's like, no. And I'm like, nah. And then I was sad. But hey, shout out to the Source.
So right now,
.ca.
they're on track for you.
Thanks, yeah. Thanks,
Okay.
Radio Shack. You saved my channel. And not really, but
It was
still
all over
appreciated.
Otherwise. Yeah. Cool.
I wanted to play Demon Souls
Yeah. Absolutely.
on the channel.
You see that character creator?
Yeah, who cares?
Looks fucking incredible.
Creating a character is stupid. Take 2 seconds. Take one of the defaults that looks kind of like you, and then change the hair color to match yours, and you're done.
Right, okay. So to everyone else on the planet, how cool did that shit look, right? The faces are so much better than they used to. The details are way improved. I'm really happy about the character creator improvements. That looks great.
Demon Souls doesn't have any glamour options. If you want to see your character's face, you'll have to wear an open face helmet, guarantee. Like, your character's 99 times out of 100 going to wear a helmet. You won't see it.
Yeah, anyway, so that's cool.
Like in Monster Hunter, it made more sense because you could take your helmet off as a visual option, but in Demon Souls, like it's not a thing. In all the Souls games, it's not a thing. Hell, in Dark Souls, they even made fun of people who created their character by turning you into a big hamburger man. You remember Hamburger Man?
No.
You don't remember being turned into a hamburger when you started Dark Souls 1?
Oh, undead. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Right.
you're gross.
Yeah, and then you get it back, and you're like, hey, there. That's what I was supposed to look like.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
you put a helmet on and it's gone forever. All right, now let me
Unless you
go to
don't
the
wear
part
one.
where I check my schedule to see what the hell I played this week because I can't remember. As my memory fades with time more and more and more. Oh Christ, I beat Doom this week. The Doom DLC.
Mm-hmm.
Um how'd you feel about the base game's boss fights?
I liked them. I liked them. I always like a like one-on-one encounters. But in both 2016 and in this case, I did enjoy them. The final boss of 2016 was the weakest by far,
Uh-huh.
but I didn't mind the I forgot what it was, the cyber demon, and
Yeah.
Icon was more of a like challenge like room than it was a boss fight, really, you know.
Yeah. Well, what if I told you that the final boss of the Doom DLC looks at all the bosses that the modern Dooms have had and said, "Let's do Icon of Sin in a room half the size with electric floor moving lasers everywhere, and also fill the room with two super heavies that are empowered to be immune to all of their
Which
weaknesses,
room?
and
Half the size of the first room or the second room?
of the Icon of Sin second room.
Second room. Okay.
It's like a 20 by 20-foot room. Have lasers going everywhere that you have to jump around, and have two super heavies be empowered by those spirits that make them twice as fast and shoot twice as hard. And when you kill one, you have to use the microwave beam to stand in place and detonate it while all the other enemies in the room stomp you to death. And you have to do it over 5 phases.
Yeah. Okay. Hazard bullshit sounds terrible. That's
It's Wooly, you could literally
bad.
go to a part of that stream, and I was on that fight for like an hour, and click to any random part in that boss fight, and just be seeing me get killed from lasers coming from behind me that I couldn't see, or getting dive bombed off of like by double fast enemies that I couldn't see, or some of the enemies in there are temporarily invincible unless you hit weak points after they start attacks. It's everything wrong with the game's systems combined into one boss fight. It is, I would say, the one part of Doom Eternal that is just genuinely terrible.
Yeah, that
Is the boss fight
sounds.
that
I
finishes
mean,
it
just
off.
on paper, with those details, like a hazard room should not represent the peak test of your abilities. That, while
Negate.
also allowing you to play the game at its funnest. You should be allowing the player to, like, do the most they can while overwhelming them with the boss, if anything. And hazards, uh, if used, could be temporary attacks. They could be parts of a boss sequence. For example, there's the cyber demon skipping rope sections.
Yeah, which was cool.
That's fine. It's a segment of the fight, but to turn the whole fight into that is a really bad idea. Yeah.
It's a slog. It's
Mm-hmm.
so miserable. And then you get to the end, and there's a God. How do I even put this?
To those who
The
think,
story.
to those who automatically think get good, I ask, is the result always fun though? Let's say you're good and you manage to complete it, that doesn't necessarily equal a fun time. These two
Yeah, I
things
beat it.
are
I was miserable the whole time. I
these are
didn't
divorced
enjoy.
concepts from each other. So yes, you must get good to succeed, but that doesn't answer the discussion of whether or not the thing was fun. These are
Yeah, no, it was miserable. It was
two separate discussions.
absolutely awful. And then your reward for beating that boss is the story takes what I would call a turn, which I didn't expect. And it seems like the kind of turn that would be just tailor-made for you and I for the Doom storyline. Like, hey, Pat and Wooly, You know that thing you guys like in those games? Here's one of those. Hope you'll enjoy it. And my feeling instead was that seems really stupid.
Oh.
That just seems really dumb.
Okay. So I'm getting the impression that
For
you were left.
this game.
I'm getting the impression that you were disappointed with it.
I was very that DLC starts strong and gets weaker as it goes. Which is like kind of the opposite of the base game, which just kept ramping up. It's just not as good as the base game. Like it's like if the base game was a 9, then this is like a 7.5.
And what about 2016?
I would put 2016 and Eternal as the same. They're just very different. They're different flavors of the same. They're different meals at a good restaurant. Whereas this one is the knockoff restaurant down the road.
Okay.
Kind of a bummer.
I do plan to take a look at it though, so
you should. What was not a bummer was, did you play Disc Room?
No, but it's that like 8-bit looking thing, right?
It's that Devolver joint. It's like a top-down Meat Boy.
Yeah, no, I don't really know what it is.
It's really actually kind of confusing. You look at it like a Isaac kind of perspective, or like Smash TV. It's just like a room will just fill with a million saw blades and you have to dodge them. And as you progress through these rooms, you'll get criteria like get killed by 15 different types of saw blades, or live 20 seconds in 10 different rooms, or shit like that. And you'll eventually get upgrades that would allow you to move faster or clone yourself or teleport a little bit.
So like bullet hellish?
Yeah, very bullet hellish, but the bullets are gigantic. It's really weird. It's very charming. It's incredibly difficult. The music, if I remember correctly, was great too. Unfortunately, when I played it, my brain was just fried, and all I could say was Disc Room. I was in that nappy state where all I could think about was being asleep. And so the all-time LP crutch of just finding a word that is fun to say and just repeating it.
Were you streaming during real nap time hours?
That's correct.
Do you do that?
Well, often? I do that when my significant other's in the hospital and I have a dog that I can't watch while I'm streaming.
Okay.
when there's nobody to watch the puppy and I have to figure out a time that I can stream when the puppy is put to bed in the puppy room, then yes, that is why. So Disc Room, so Doom Eternal DLC, kind of a bummer. Disc Room, not a bummer. You know what is unfortunately kind of a bummer? Did you play Ghost Runner?
Not yet.
Ghost Runner has incredible stuff in it, but it also has annoying shit in it.
I feel like I'm probably going to strongly disagree with you just on the surface of what Ghost Runner appears to be. But
I love the surface of what Ghost Runner appears to be. My issues with Ghost Runner are when it is not when it appears what it appears to.
Because I've cleared shelf space in my brain and in my heart, I should say. I've cleared shelf space in my heart for when I get to this game.
Yeah, it's a wall running, speed running style, first person
neon ninjas, neon samurai game.
All that stuff is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Is the best. All the stuff in that game that is not that is not incredible. In between most levels, you go to the Cyber Void, which is a massively slowed down platforming sequence where you do puzzles while some narrator nonsensically talks to you about the cyber future, and they're just really slow and really dull.
Okay. I don't hate that at all on its surface. I'll have to see how it's executed.
I didn't hate it on its surface until I realized that characters literally never stop talking in Ghost Runner. Like when you're on a good run, like a good clip, there are characters talking to you 100% of the time in the game.
Like
Like
retrying
no one
things?
ever shuts up.
Like even when you're retrying missions?
No, not when you're retrying.
In between.
In between. Like say you're having a good solid run, they never shut up. And it was one of those things where when I was wall dashing, sorry, well, not wall dashing, that's not a thing. When I was wall running and doing the jumps and doing the grapple and doing, doing the sideways air dash that gives you bullet time to dash into guys and cut them up, dude, that game's incredible. And there's even melee guys that show up for area denial, and that was a lot of fun too.
Sweet.
Machine gun dudes that you have to give a wider berth, and you're jumping around and all sorts of stuff. Fantastic.
So you're saying it should have super hotted, but it didn't super hot?
My biggest problem with it is one that I wish there was less story. I wish there was zero story, and the levels were just like continue like
super hot
with no filler.
Go, yeah.
But the other thing is there is a mechanic they introduced that I can't stand, and they introduce it right away. And it is the mechanic that is, you go into a room and like half the guys in the room are protected by an impenetrable shield, and the only way to kill them is to platform your way up to a shield generator and slash it.
Pop the shield
They're
generator.
They're usually on the sides of walls, so you'll like wall run and like slash it.
Yeah, Dead Cell style.
Then all the enemies unlock.
Mm-hmm.
And it gave me this feeling of, they give you these, like, I wouldn't call them wide open areas, but there's like this path and this path and this path. There's like 3-4 ways you can go. But you have to do the shield generator first. And so there's actually only one path through the stage.
That doesn't sound too bad either. That doesn't,
it killed my momentum on it.
Okay. I remember there's shield generating enemies in a bunch of games are a thing, you know. I mean, Doom had those popping up in Eternal, right?
Buff totems are terrible in Eternal. I hate them. I hate buff totems.
They're annoying, but like they at the end I kind of just felt like it was just additional sweat for me. When you come across them in Dead Cells, same kind of thing, but you eventually get good at like beelining for it. I guess Darkest Dungeon as well. It gets really annoying in Darkest Dungeon, but in the end, it's just that kind of I don't know. I'll have to see how it's done. But on paper, that doesn't seem that bad.
Enemy buff generators or whatever. Like in every game that they're in, like I can't stand
a shield generator. Yeah.
I find them to be like pacing killers and annoyances.
They can be depending on how hard they are to kill, certainly. But if it's not that long, if it's not too long, I don't mind.
So I actually didn't. I don't usually do this, but I did like an hour or two of Ghost Runner, and then I got to a stage that had a lot of the shield guys. And went, all right, I'm out of here. Fuck it, I'll hop over to Apex. Because Apex just came out on Steam.
So is that okay? That's why. Yeah. Okay.
So the most important thing to mention about Apex coming to Steam is that you don't need Origin to launch it. You just need your Origin login to launch it, which makes all the difference in the goddamn world.
If I get it on Steam, I wonder, will I be able to transfer my login progress?
You can transfer your progress if it's on the same platform. So your PC progress will transfer over. I had a lot of PS4 progress that did not transfer over.
Okay.
So if you play it on PC, you should totally be fine.
Nice.
Dude, Apex had a lot of stuff added to it.
A whole lot of stuff. Characters.
There's now 3 maps.
Maps. Yeah, a lot has happened. Lore. I've been passively paying attention. Yeah.
But that's all very nice, and actually the controller support on PC is really nice. Apparently there's advantages to even using a controller against mouse and keyboard people. It's something to do with the auto aim when you peek around corners.
Is it like Titanfall's? Because Titanfall had some really strong auto aim that was...
It's not nearly that aggressive, but I think it's when you're doing that little peek back and forth shit around 2 corners, the controller player's aim will actually snap to the PC player, whereas a mouse and keyboard will not. So in that one situation, controller players have an advantage as opposed to all the other situations that mouse and keyboard do.
Well, I was running hybrid, so
yeah. Oh, yeah. Anyway,
felt great.
Yeah, sure. The most important thing that I can say about Apex is that I just want them to put a solo mode in the game, and everybody says like, but the characters aren't balanced for that. And I go, I don't care. Just put a Titanfall character in there. I really don't. Like, give me a default Jumpman. But that being said, did you play duos?
I didn't play duos.
Duos is a lot closer to solos than I thought it was.
Okay.
Compared to 3-man teams.
But you hate 3-man teams.
I hate 3-man teams.
I like 3-man teams.
Okay.
So I have no problem with the default mode.
Okay. How duos is for those of everyone who out there that would have liked solos, but it's never going to add solos. Duos is pretty close to that experience.
See, here's what I'm immediately going to imagine, though. Like, one thing I like about 3-man teams is the range of abilities you have on your side. You know, I'm reminded of 3-on-3 like fighters where you have 3 types of assists to work with on your team that can cover you. I like the fact that, you know, having a Gibraltar and Mirage or whatever whatever your diversity of character set is, you have 3 unique abilities and ults that are all going to heavily help you. And if you're less, then you're not going to be able to take advantage of those things, you know?
Oh, I totally agree. The only thing is that in my experience playing in 3-man teams was that you never ever got to play in a 3-man team. Is that you would be dropping and one guy would split off immediately to go to the ass end of the map.
Right. So I'm of course.
And now what you were actually playing is duos against everybody else who is playing 3-man.
So teams. I'm also referring to 3-man teams with people you know in Discord, right?
Yeah.
Like in that kind of controlled setting.
I don't tend to play Apex with people in Discord. I tend to just hit matchmake. And in that particular scenario, 3-man teams was almost exclusively miserable. Because even if we all touched down at the same location, I'd be standing there and watching guy number 1 and guy number 2 do 180s from each other and run in opposite directions. And I got to pick which teammate I wanted to actually play with.
Yeah, again, I feel like playing with friends nullifies that problem, and you just get the good parts of it. And
yeah,
I got my first taste, I think, before Apex of like 3-man teams with that sort of like composition special ability idea when Overwatch had mini battles with the 3-man 3 versus 3, right? Overwatch 3v3 was a wild, different take on the game, and I really enjoyed those games. So yeah, I don't know. I think the coordination thing is a fixable problem, and that it's pretty fun when you get, you know, 3 characters that can cover each other's weaknesses pretty well.
So here's the thing. You're completely right. However, when I play Warzone, I don't have to fix a problem when I queue up because I can play solo. Like that's the whole reason that I like. Yes, I could hassle a bunch of people to get into Apex, and then we would all want to play for different lengths of time, and we could only play for the length of time that the person who wanted to play the least could play with.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's 5:30 a.m. and I'm like, oh man, I sure would like to play Apex. Oh wait, no one's awake.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, I guess
it is
I mean, I've kind of, after tasting like what doing, a comp in Overwatch or teams in these games is like, I definitely have it as a strong preference, and I would only go back to solo queuing when I can't find anybody or anything when I want to play. But my preference would always just be to like go for playing with a team and go for playing with someone on mic and coordination.
I mean, I'm obviously not what do you call it, averse or unknown to playing with teams. I play with my friends in 14 every single Sunday.
I was about to say, I imagine 14 is one of these games where like you can go off and do your own thing, but it's much more immensely fun when you're with people.
No, it's not fun. It's required. Do you want to play Seed of Sacrifice? You can either sit in Party Finder finding a group of morons for an hour, or you can say everybody show up at 7 p.m. on Sunday night and we'll join the Party Finder with a password and we'll just bang these runs out. When I want to play Apex, it's me going, hey, after this podcast, I go, I'd like to play one match of Apex.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to grab people in and convince them to download and play Apex so that I can play one match of Apex in a 3-man team.
Yeah, that's not gonna, that use case is not gonna work out.
So with all that said, duos is a lot closer to what I want, because at the very least, even if your teammate's a moron, you can at least follow the one teammate. Like that singular difference. Also, it's a lot easier to win a 1v2 than a 2v3 with dumbasses. Like,
after having solo queue matches like when no one was available, it definitely feels way shitter. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll just be like, if I can, like play mostly when I can get people to play with, I can enjoy it as much as possible. And then when I want to get games in and no one else is around, those will be minimal. But anyway, that's besides the point. The point is, I guess, is it
duos is a good addition.
Okay, so is it the same number of players in the map total though?
Yeah, it's 60-ish people, but just in teams of 2.
Okay. So it must be way more aggressive and way more encounters overall.
Yeah, you're running into just loot shit shows constantly. Yeah. Okay. Where oh look, they're looting, kill them. Oh, now you're looting, get killed. Mm-hmm. Kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It's really cool. Yeah, I'm really happy that I don't know when they added duos, honestly. But I'm glad that they have it, because it actually makes me want to play the game again. I still don't understand why they won't add a solo mode. They have said because the characters they have would not be balanced for it. But you could just make a new character.
One new character?
Or yeah, and it's called Pilot.
And you can only use that character
in
solo mode?
And it would be a Titanfall BR.
It's just a different video game.
Yeah. So just do it.
It's just literally a different video game.
Hell, I mean, you could actually make it. You could make it easier, where you would just say, "Hey, this week on solos, everybody can only play Lifeline, or Bloodhound, or what have you."
Well, I mean,
bam, instant balance.
I'm not gonna say like, no, we want less features, but I do understand the fact that, like, yeah, characters are not all made to be as self-sustaining.
Some characters are like objectively terrible as solo. Like they have abilities that only benefit their team. like, yeah, that makes obvious sense that they're not balanced for solo.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, how do I put this? The devs understand the problem that I have, and I know they understand that problem, which is why the game has such a lavish ping system and a button to mute your entire party before you even drop in.
Mm-hmm.
They're aware of the reality of the matchmaking. I
And
just wish I could matchmake only with those I would like to kill.
there is a unique tension to solo battle royale that you don't get with a teammate that I can definitely understand. Just in terms of like the feeling of the tension and the fun. Yeah.
Well, it's fascinating to me because like I'll talk about Warzone or I'll talk about PUBG and I'll encounter people that like exclusively play the team modes
Mm-hmm.
and are baffled that anyone would ever play a battle royale in anything but a 4-man team, like in Warzone, for example. And I look at that and I am baffled. I like there's nothing, there couldn't be anything about that less appealing.
I just know that
Like,
when games have an intended mode that like, or an intended like sort of like, yeah, like an intended mode, you kind of and they kind of come out somewhat bare bones. It's reasonable to expect that they're just going to focus on mainly developing up that thing and emphasizing that thing, and like other features would kind of be like, yeah, eventually we'll get to that, but it's not the priority. When
yeah, like
again, I'm using the Overwatch comparison, and Overwatch and a battle royale game are not the same thing. But the point in being that like when they eventually did roll out the PVE in Overwatch or the 3v3 stuff, and even those wacky things like Lucio Ball, it was like many seasons later.
people are bringing up a genuine point, which I didn't know quite how to articulate, but it was that like a solo battle royale is basically a horror game.
Sure.
Like it is terrifying.
Right. Yeah. What
Like
the fuck was that noise?
you have
Who's that? Oh
you
my god.
know what 90 degrees of vision and everything around you is death.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but duos is great, and I'm glad they added it.
Did you play any of the new characters?
I did not, because they're not unlocked.
Ah.
Right. And I wanted to play more of it and see how enjoyable it actually was before I actually spent any money on it. And one of the confusing things that I'm seeing people mention now is they're making a distinction between ranked and unranked, which I didn't even see a ranked option on the main menu.
Oh, you can do unranked matches? How?
What do you mean you can do unranked matches?
Wait, like, what do you mean ranked and unranked? Can you explain what you mean? Sorry.
I mean, I just hit the matchmake button and hit go.
Mm-hmm.
There was I did not earn a ranking as a result. Like,
okay.
I earned some XP.
So so the first thing you said was there is a difference between ranked and unranked.
Yeah, apparently they added ranked matches or some shit, which I'm now loading up the game to check because I'm so confused.
Okay.
Because I have no idea what the fuck that is. I hope it's not ranked matches in the same way that fucking Overwatch has ranked matches, in which it's a good way to just ruin the game by balancing around this nightmare shit meta that the devs don't know what to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a very long time since I've played it, but like, I don't remember there being any options back when I last touched it, so that must have been one of the updates.
Yeah,
too.
back when I last played it, there was, do you want to play or not?
Mm-hmm. Same, yeah, exactly.
It was literally start gun, go gun.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the weirdest thing I encountered. You remember the Mastiff shotgun that you would get out of like gold care packages?
Mm-hmm.
And you remember the Peacekeeper, obviously?
Yeah.
The good shotgun you would get?
There's the Mastiff, there's the good shot. Yeah, and then there's the Mozambique, which was garbage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They inverted the Peacekeeper and the Mastiff. They were like, wow, actually the Mastiff isn't as good as the Peacekeeper, so they just switched the two as to which is the fancy weapon and which is the weapon you find everywhere.
Oh, the drop rate?
Yeah, like
Okay.
the gun that used to be the big fancy reward is now the gray gun you get out of everything, and the gun
Hmm.
that everybody used to run around with all the time is now the big fancy one you'd get out of a care package.
Hmm. I remember reading about a change to might have been like Lifeline's alt or like the guaranteed gold equipment. There was something about like about that they made a huge change to as well, so that you couldn't
They changed the way body armor worked, which was really weird. Body armor now levels up when you do damage.
levels
So
up
even
when
if
you do damage.
yeah, so say you have a gray armor and you like kill two guys, it will level up into a blue armor.
Whoa.
I think that is to fix the problem of like just going your whole game and just finding nothing. Just finding nothing.
Your default
Like, no
will
purple.
upgrade automatically.
Yeah,
as
it's
you-
nice. It's
as you
genuinely
kill.
nice.
Whoa.
And they also, you remember Mirage was just like his thing sucked. Like everything about his shit sucked. They made it so all his like clones are controllable now.
Interesting.
So
I don't remember
look
them
more like
sucking, but I remember them not being as good as some of the other abilities that you could get on your team.
ranked 35 days. What is ranked? What am I looking at? What does it do? Compete against similarly skilled players. Okay. Oh, and of course ranked is only 3-person teams. Great, so it's worthless. Awesome.
So he can
All right.
he can control his clones.
Yeah, you can control his clones.
What method does he use to do that?
Don't know. I don't have them unlocked.
Okay.
Yeah, I was actually very happy to go back to Apex. I'll probably be putting more time into it. It seems cool, especially now that it has duos. And last but not least, for my week, I played Visage. You ever heard of Visage Wolves?
I have not.
So if you pull up like a single screenshot or like a trailer, you will see that Visage is a indie horror game that's been in early access for a couple of years, and it is a game that started being made when the devs saw PT and went, "That's cool, man. Let's do that. Let's just do that."
There was another PT inspired horror game with a different name.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of that one.
Okay.
So I played that, and
Allison Road.
oh, Allison Road, that's right. Yeah, you're right. So I played Visage, and it's really good. It also caused me to bark out tiny baby bitch screams consistently for a couple hours. Spooky, excellent, good horror game. Gives the baby man the bitch scream.
Mm-hmm.
That's my review. That's my review of Visage.
Big spoops.
Extremely. If you want to check it out, you check it out on Steam. It's very scary.
Is it first person?
It's first person. It looks
Is it
like
PT
you could see it,
in a different location?
It's PT. It looks just like PT.
All right.
The only difference is that the house is way bigger in that it's not a hallway. It's like a gigantic, like rich person's house. And there's an inventory. Like, you know, do you want a lighter? Do you want a candle? Do you want a sledgehammer to break down windows or stuff like that? The inventory is terrible. like it's a horror game, so you're supposed to be all like, solving puzzles occasionally. The inventory is just so bad. They went for this weird, are you holding an item in your left hand? Are you holding an item in your right hand? If you want to put something away, you have to hold it in your right hand and then hold it and then go into your inventory and click up on this place on the D-pad and then it stocks there. And it's terrible. It is easily the worst part about the game.
Is it meant to be obtuse in a manner that makes you...
No way.
Okay.
It's just bad.
Okay.
It's definite, like, you have a limited inventory, so that's that. But like the just constant, what button do I hit to put this in my hand, cannot possibly be intentional.
So I felt that with Phasmophobia last week, and the fact that there's a pick up the object button, there is a place the object down button, and then there's drop the object like a motherfucker button, and they're right next to each other, feels intentional.
Like in Visage, is hold B to bring up the drop item button, and then hit the trigger for what item you want to drop. And it's like, that's terrible. It's just and okay, so you like hold an item in your hand, either right trigger or left trigger. To put it in your inventory, you have to hit start and then use just the D-pad to move over to the item spot, and then you have to hit the trigger button associated with the item to put it into your inventory.
Boy, okay. Yeah.
It's terrible. It's just awful. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking.
Right, and Phasmophobia at least has a VR mode where you can hold two objects, so it simplifies a lot of that interaction. But again, I feel like horror games want to make easy things hard specifically to make it easier for you to die and for you to bumble.
So I've played roughly 1 million horror games. And your statement that horror games want to make easy things hard to scare you is 100% dead on the truth. Like, let's go back to Resident Evil, down to moving your character across the screen.
Yeah,
is difficult because that's scary.
Bad controls are a feature.
This has occasionally been abused to hand wave real problems, where you go, hey, this part sucks, and what comes back is it's supposed to suck. That's what makes it scary.
Right,
like, no.
There's no basement. There's no fucking bottom floor on how bad it can get if you just kind of go like it's to make it hard, though.
Yeah, it's no. Like, it's fucking knowing what item to use is one thing. Being unable to figure out how to pick up an item is not for scares, because that is the opposite of horror. When you're immersed and there's an evil old lady ghost and there's all these creepy mirrors around you and there's creaks and groans in the house and you're fully immersed and you're spookified, the last thing that adds to that is you going, how do I use the gear on the puzzle? Do I hold B and then drop the compass?
So
and then
like, all I can think of is just like a game designer staring at the scene in any movie where they drop the keys trying to open the car and just trying to gamify that. Or even David Cage fucking trying to gamify that of like, oh God, get the keys in the door. Nope, that's the wrong key. Find the right one. Oh God. And it's just, you've made a basic task harder because of the fear. And just apply that to the entire game, essentially. It would be more convincing if you had a state of mind that made things harder, but when your state of mind was okay, that you were able to move and do things fine. But then it would deliberately get hard, because then it's showing off that, hey, we did this on purpose. We're not just bad. You know?
Yeah, it's this weird thing where the game looks incredible and is kind of immaculate, except for the inventory. The inventory just screams like early access. This was made by an early team. As well as when you go pick up mission critical objects, the game autosaves, but if you pick up the mission critical object and then get into a cutscene, it will try and save in the cutscene. And at the bottom of your scary cutscene, giant text comes out, says, could not save the game automatically. Please save the game manually at your next convenience.
Nice.
And like in the middle of like a ghost trying to spook. And it's like, oh man, that's rough. That's really, really rough. That's not supposed. Oh, geez. That's not supposed to be like that. But other than that shit, game's incredible.
My brain is aggressively fighting the pronunciation that I'm sure you thought upon reading it at first. Because
Visage?
Of the French word visage.
Why would I say visage?
It's not French, so that wouldn't make any sense. But I just...
Yeah, it's visage.
Of course. It just, it's what...
Why do you always try to pronounce things in French?
Because
first,
when I see them...
It's not even your first language.
No, but I live in a world that has always been primarily that, and that's what I'm surrounded by. So it's just where my brain goes.
Also, visage is an English word.
Yes, I know. But you don't see it as often as you do in French. That's all.
That is actually very accurate. Yeah,
that's it. You
visage
see
is commonly used.
You see those letters put together in French often, and you don't see that often in English. So, you know, it's just habits of being in Quebec.
The weirdest thing is that I'm the one with the French last name, and I never encounter this scenario. But then again, I am always like, ugh, French.
I hang out with a lot of French people.
Well, that's your mistake.
I mean, what can I say? You know,
that's what it is. You chose to hang out with a lot of French people, whereas I was born into it.
Perhaps.
Yes. But that was pretty much it for my week. A lot of ups and downs. A lot of weird shit this week. I was originally supposed to play Visage on Halloween, which would have made more sense. But I really didn't feel like playing a spooky game on Halloween with the lady in the hospital possibly suffering some horrible back-related fate. I just wasn't up to it. That being said, if you want to check out more good-ass streams on twitch.tv/PatStaresAt, I hate to disappoint you, but it's all garbage. But if you also enjoy garbage, I'm going to be playing Yakuza 7 this week. It's coming out. The new Yakuza. It's going to be out. It's the role-playing one. Like a Dragon. Great name for that. Great name for that.
It's nice to know that after all those horror games you've played, that some of them can still scare you.
Oh, well, here's the thing. And this is... You know what? A lot of people don't get this. I don't like horror games. And I never did. Ever.
Okay.
I like survival horror games. There's a really clear difference. A horror game is supposed to spook you. A survival horror game is a game that you actually play and have player input on what's going on that has a horror theme.
So did you
just
get pushed into horror games from the nature of your job?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
If you want to break it down to like a singular item as to what determines a game that I would like be more interested in playing,
can you fight back?
That I wouldn't be is can you fight back?
Mm-hmm.
If the answer is yes, I'm 100 times more interested.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Than if the answer is no. And here's the thing. I played a lot of horror games over those years, and guess what? I achieved no immunity to scares. I am an astonishingly easily startled person. I cannot take a shower and be interrupted without almost dying of fright. Poor Paige has tried everything. She has tried yelling from outside the room. She has tried knocking. She has tried sneaking in and being like, hey, nothing. If I am in the shower and I hear a noise, I will freak.
Okay.
If somebody talks to me and says my name, in the back 120 degrees of vision directly behind my head, I will jump.
Okay, what about if the lights slowly start to dim as a heads up?
No. I am easily spooked. Therefore, boy, I have never toughened up to horror games. Not even a little.
Okay.
And if you want to see proof positive of that and you have the time to waste, you can go back and check out some of the shitstorms from 6 or 7 in which I am literally sitting there going, I'm going to turn this corner and there will be a ghost and the ghost will jump out of the mirror. And then the ghost jumps out of the mirror and I go, ah! Because it doesn't matter how much prep there possibly is. If you have a fast-moving, loud noise near my face, I will freak out.
You ever played in VR?
I don't really like VR. The more I use VR, the more I'm like, this is stupid. Everything's limited from this perspective.
Would be pretty fucking effective at spoops, though.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. Hey, Wooly, let me ask you a question. This is a genuine, work feasibility question that I've been wrestling with for weeks. And I'm going to put it up to a vote, but I would like your opinion before I do so. I'm going to be streaming Yakuza 7. Yakuza is obviously a very, very Japanese video game series. However, in the courses of me streaming these games, both 6 and Kiwami and all that, I've had a long back and forth with people who are asking, can you please use the dub instead of the subtitle Japanese? Because there is just so much goddamn dialogue. And if anybody is doing anything but watching the screen the whole time, they're gonna miss it.
Yeah, I hate this. And
on top of that,
I don't like this.
On top of that, last night or 2 nights ago, I saw a take that I had never considered, which was I live in Australia. I literally can't read the subtitles because I watch your stream at 360p. It's just not an option.
Okay.
So with Yakuza 7 coming out, and I don't know if you saw, but they got Matt Mercer to do Majima. He does a pretty decent Majima. They got Kiryu's original Yakuza 1 voice actor back.
Wow.
Which is crazy. I'm like, do I take it easy on the people who would otherwise not be staring ahead and paying attention? But I say this, and then the blowback comes, but it's Yakuza!
So okay. Here, I've been through this a couple times. I've been through this with, obviously, Danganronpa. I've been through this with Naruto. I've been through this with, 13 Sentinels, even, most recently.
Yeah.
It is a constant debate, and it is a very, very hard one. Now, what I kind of have to do is put it to a series of questions, because the answer is honestly depending on almost like a little flow chart. So first question is this a new entry in a franchise that you have been into for a long time?
Right.
And if so, have you experienced the franchise in a particular way for yourself personally, right? Because if you have played every other Yakuza game and your personal experience in every other Yakuza game has been to play it in Japanese, then that to me immediately overrides any other questions. Because you experiencing the game for yourself for the first time should be the way that you would enjoy it.
All right. Well, let me take that point and nullify it, because I'll be honest, I'm curious.
Okay. I'm
genuinely curious.
Step 2 is, if that doesn't exist, if it's not that game, if you don't have a history that matters to you with it, then second is it a good dub? right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you confirm whether or not the dub is good or
The
better
Judgment
yet?
dub was excellent.
13 Sentinels is impeccable, right?
Yeah, A plus. 13
So
Sentinels is A plus for sure.
what I have ended up deferring to is if the dub is good, and it's the first time we're all experiencing this, I will go dub. Unless I have personal history with the franchise in Japanese, in which case that matters more to me. And if the dub is shit, then we just don't do that.
All right. So this solidifies the decision that I had already made prior to this, which was I will put it up to a vote. So if you want to vote on the language options and the Yakuza 7 LP, show up to my stream tomorrow at around 7:30, 7 o'clock. And I will use the Twitch poll feature, which I discovered a few weeks ago, where you can just poll people in the Twitch chat. However, it will not be a 50-50 poll. I have a mental number that subs have to clear that is not 50% for me to put subs on and keep them on, because I genuinely believe that in almost every situation, playing a game in English, which is the default language of 99% of the people who are going to be watching me, is probably for the best.
Stop the count!
Wooly, I hate to break it to you, but I brought this up a couple days ago when I originally started this thing. That joke was made. You're too late.
Oh, boy.
I promise that no matter what happened, that I would abide by the legal votes cast in my Twitch poll.
Subs won by a lot!
Unless it went against the way that I wanted, at which point I would stop the count and just declare the winner immediately.
Click here to find out about Twitter's integrity of subs versus dubs. Hey, listen, it's a rough one because, you know, whenever it's gone either way, there's been just anger on either side, right?
Man.
I've seen people say, you know, basically, yes, I know you're playing it for yourself for the first time, and this is a series that you're into, but you're playing for an audience, therefore that should matter more. And I just disagree with that. I think that, like, the way, if I have a personal history with something and I'm going into this, like, that's a part of what I'm streaming this for, what I'm recording it for. And I think
it will change the energy of you.
You lose something personally with your connection if I have to listen to Akio, who's amazing, instead of David Hayter, who I'm connected to through this franchise. So it just, you know, and I had to explain this exhaustingly to the point that I got pretty annoying about it probably to a lot of people with Naruto, because when I popped in Ultimate Ninja Storm and went straight to Japanese, a lot of people were like, what the fuck? Right? Because they had watched and grown up with Naruto dubbed on Toonami.
How could you be a weeaboo about this ninja anime?
And, like, they're like, what? Because they'd all watched it on Cartoon Network. And I'm like, I don't know. I watched it in Japanese as it came out, and that's the sounds that I'm associating every character with. It's always been that way to me. I caught memes of the English stuff, but, you know, me bothering to go back to this series is I have a connection to the Japanese voices. That's what I know, you know? And you just can't really win either way. But that flowchart, I think, is the most reasonable thing you can do. And if people are still upset with the results, then
So I'm actually in a place where I'm very curious about the dub. Like I like on an almost academic thing. Like I have heard these voice actors for a long time. It will not kill me to hear a different take on them, especially since if you are a person who played the Yakuza games from the beginning, you played the first one in English with a dub. A hilariously overcast dub that was absurd and kind of terrible.
Mark Hamill?
Mark Hamill and Michael Madsen and tons of A-listers. But we're like, you know what I mean by overcast? Like, you didn't need Michael Madsen. You really didn't.
No,
you could
definitely
have had,
not. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually, so like we can take me out of it because I could go either way. For me, it's just like, I just want to know what would actually be best for the audience. And I am concerned that when you ask the people don't actually know what they want. They'll tell you what they want. But I'm always reminded of the comment you and I got on some, hey guys, what LP do you want to see? Only to say, like, I'm totally the guy who would have voted for this game and then watched one episode and then never watched it again.
Because I went off to get it, yeah.
Yeah.
You do have to also, you take into account that, like, some people want dub because they just, so most of the people that would want dub, I would imagine, would want it to just be easy to minimize. But some people do want it because they just prefer that in their media.
There is a legitimate reason to go dub from a functionality perspective in the Yakuza series that I'm very tempted to. And this is the idea that made me think right away.
Crowds,
and it's crowd.
Yeah, crowds.
There's so much untranslated dialogue in those games.
Yep.
There's so much fucking background chatter that is just not. Now I bet the dub doesn't actually translate most of that.
And
I bet it's actually just background Japanese people.
And as the guy who was sitting there assessing whether or not 3 could translate the crowd chatter, I made a decision that no, it would not be possible without ridiculous upsizing of the team. I walked down the street and went, yeah, fuck that. That doesn't seem possible, you know?
So yeah, I'm torn. It's tough. This is the toughest one because 13 Sentinels, I felt nothing. Like, it was like, oh yeah, dub. No, all dub all the way. VanillaWare's voice acting people that they get, they're always great. This is a visual novel, so fuck playing a visual novel in a language that I don't speak. That's ridiculous. But Yakuza is like literally the most Japanese series that exists. It is the one that would lose the most je ne sais quoi from being divorced from its original language.
How rad would it be if you could pull a, like, set your characters by language by character and just have all the main characters talk Japanese, but the crowd speaks English?
That would be so weird. It's also fascinating to me because the dub for Judgment was apparently quite good, but the dub for 7 is going above and beyond. Do you see the interview with the localizers where they had to change that English translation cutscene to make sense in Japanese in English?
I didn't hear about it.
So it was really interesting. There's a side quest where Ichiban's walking down the street and sees a white guy. And the white guy appears to be like a German or maybe an American tourist, and he's asking him in English, "Hello, what way to the train station?" And in Japanese, Ichiban goes, "Oh, America des," or, you know, oh shit, English. And in English, Ichiban stops, looks at the camera, goes, "Oh shit, English," gives a really slow thumbs up, and then turns back to the scene. And I'm like, okay, they're putting that level of work into this. They're putting the level of work in which they're recording the voice actors singing the goddamn karaoke songs in English. All of them. That's impressive. I kind of want to check that out.
Yeah, like, you don't want to miss out on "Goodbye, Jojo." Yeah,
you don't want to miss out on that. You don't want to miss out on the Yakuza 0 one, which was, "Hey boy." I was like, what? Is that supposed to be English, like British English? Holy shit.
Shito. You know, you need those.
You don't want to miss out on Gary Buster Holmes's broken Japanese, but at the same time, it's tough. It's really tough.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very interesting problem that only exists in this incredibly specific niche of content.
I think, again, that your personal history is weighted towards the result here. And, you know, it is a one of those things where you just got to kind of, I mean, I remember there was a point in Naruto where I ended up switching it midway just to see.
Yeah.
And then I switched it back, you know, I messed around. In Sekiro, nope, not Sekiro, Ghost of Tsushima. In Ghost of Tsushima.
Okay, that's pretty funny.
I started
Those are different.
And then switched and tried it out, and then we rolled with English for a bit, you know, and then rolled back. So I definitely was willing to like just see how it felt and see what the mood was, and you know, in that it definitely was a case of like, oh, yo, the voices are pretty good here. You know, they're doing a good job. But yeah, I definitely think that it matters a lot less if you have no attachment and you're playing a game for the first time. You know, you can go either way you feel on that, and give the dub a chance if it's a good one, especially. But you know, when there's a history, to me at least, that takes precedent.
Hey, let me ask you a different question, and this might be specific to me. So I haven't finished Judgment. I should probably finish Judgment. But Judgment, I was playing with the sub in the Japanese language, and I ran into a very serious problem, which was, in my personal time, when I play a game that's subtitled and it's in Japanese, oftentimes I don't actually hear 80% of the dialogue because subtitles come up instantly and I goes immediately, and I almost always cut the characters off with the X button once they're finished saying the first sentence.
I don't do that at all. I listen to the Japanese voice acting. I listen to it
because like all I can think of is like, yeah, I already know what you're gonna say for the rest of the sentence.
Yeah,
I just get to the next one.
No. Personally, I like to hear the rest of the line. Also, like I like catching little verbal things that they do, like if they're using an old school, you know, type of language, if the character has particular verbal habits that are not coming through in the translation. There's been a couple times where I've been listening, and Reggie's pretty good at this too, because he's pretty good at you know, basic Japanese, and we'll hear things and go like, ooh, that's not what you said at all. You said something very different from what the translation is there. And I like catching these little bits and details.
When I played Persona on stream, it was the same thing. It's like, you know, Persona dialogue boxes are usually like 2 sentences, one shorter sentence and one longer sentence. Like, I never heard the last 5 words in what anyone said, because it was like, I like the instant the box came up, I saw and knew the whole sentence. I'm just sitting there like, just get on with it, man.
Yeah, no, for me, there's multiple reasons, man. It's like, it's not just like hearing a good voice actor, and like I when I hear someone doing a good job, I like to hear how they record it. But it's also just like, for example, so one of the characters in 13 Sentinels is someone who speaks with an old style Japanese that is not modern parlance, and it doesn't come through in English, but you would pick it up in Japanese, you know, and the eras, I think, like are things where you can hear the difference between those things. If you can catch them, I think are pretty interesting. I like that stuff, you know.
I'm tempted to just start turning subtitles off on any game that's in English.
I've even paused the scroll to go back to a line or two to hear them say it again, you know? So
I'm tempted to just turn off subtitles entirely, because if the subtitles aren't there and I don't know what they're going to say, I'm way more interested in them actually saying it. But when I can see the whole sentence, then I don't need you to actually say it.
I think that's a bad idea.
I read
for
it
two
already.
reasons. I think that's bad for two reasons. Well, one, you've played the whole franchise with subs on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's bad because, and again, like, you are not me, certainly. So, you know, we're all different with this. But I think even though you're better at, like, catching things, or you're better at not missing things, you would probably still end up missing some things
all
if you
the
have
time.
a thought.
And I should mention to those, I would never turn subtitles off for anything that I would broadcast, because, yeah, y'all need it. Just if you're streaming a game, you put the fucking subtitles on.
You have to, especially if you're going to make a comment over someone that's talking.
Oh yeah, it's absurd. It's totally absurd.
You mean personally in your off time?
I mean personally, like I absolutely adored Nier Automata and the way that they spaced out their text.
Mm-hmm.
It made such a big deal to me. It was such a big difference that there was no reason for me to ever skip ahead, because the subtitles never like jumped ahead to the ends of conversations.
Mm-hmm. And that's a good example.
Soma did something very similar.
Nier is a series that is English to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in both cases with the fucking phenomenal dubs. So now the history to me with that franchise is English.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but not every game is going to have that care for how the subtitles are displayed.
I feel like even though we're decades out of like the origin of us arguing about subs versus dubs, it's actually gotten way more complicated.
I did not realize the era we hit when dubs became average decent, because my era of anime was just, these are always unwatchable.
Don't bother at all.
That's how much of an old head, you know, I'm coming in with the, no, we just don't do that. It sucks. Period. And then, yeah, the like Toonami era kind of came and we hit that level of like, no, they've been importing and dubbing and putting on TV a bunch of shit for a while now and have been getting talented people to do it. And like that came and went because obviously, you know, like I'm not watching that in Canada. So I just continued on the like, you know, watch the original shit as it gets released pattern. So much surprise, you know.
Yeah, it's just so frustrating to me, because like you're playing a game and your subtitles are on, and most games the subtitles are like entire I guess I would call a conversation block. They're not a sentence. They're not a phrase.
Mm-hmm.
They're like 3 or 4 lines of text, which represents maybe a full minute of talking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so weird.
It makes me feel like I'm like I have the script to a play, and I'm just waiting for the actors to get to the good parts.
And you're not like, you don't really care about how they're delivering it.
No. Not most of the time, anyway. And like, you know, big moments.
I do. So that's I guess the diff, you know. But with anime though, outside of outside of video games, it feels so weird to be in a place where, like, because of when I watched a lot of these shows, like, stuff that has come and been incredibly well dubbed in my brain is now different from what most people have heard. Because, for example, a great, like, one key is Cowboy fucking Bebop to me is Japanese. That's how I watched it, and that's how everyone I knew watched it, and we all talked about it and were into it in Japanese at the time, not airing on TV. It was not on TV. Everyone that knows it now, a lot of this generation that listens to us, that we're talking to, have all watched it on television. So they've all heard
I really don't think that is a discussion of then versus now, because I saw that almost immediately after it came out dubbed.
The Steve Bloom job is like one of those amazingly it's one of those like classics where it's like he did a fucking great job with it that people to this day still talk about. But I only watched the original as it was, and you know those are the characters in my head. I hear the whole thing in Japanese. I hear Vicious as Norio Wakamoto, you know.
Always with Norio Wakamoto.
Ario's with Norio Wakamoto. Yeah, well, it's he did a good job.
I really feel like hey, do you want to know whether or not Wooly prefers the sub or the dub? Just look at the cast list and see if Norio Wakamoto's
I
on
questioned
there.
whether or not I should even bring it up just because of this, but whatever. He was in it. He did a good job. That's not the point. Trigun.
Do you love him? Do you kiss on him, on his bum?
Trigun had Johnny Young Bosch absolutely killing it, doing an incredible job as Vash the Stampede, and yet still my first time watching the series was in Japanese, you know. So it's weird, but like I'm definitely on the outside with a lot of these older shows now that are like synonymous with a lot of the audience with the dub. And I definitely realize that. I'm not trying to fucking, you know, start any arguments about what versus what. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just telling people what I happen to do.
I'll start a fucking argument. I'll start an argument right the fuck now. An argument that no one will have.
I'm just saying what I did.
Cooley doesn't exist in languages other than English.
I would say Golden Boy is fucking better in English.
I should probably watch Golden Boy.
Golden Boy's better in English. It's just that's, you know, there are occasionally dubs out there where you're like, yeah, no, you took the crown, you know.
Ghost Stories is better in English. Way better.
I've mentioned it before. Excel Saga is such a commendable effort that it's worth your time to catch the English on it, because the difficulty of the show is all rambling nonsense, and it's full of pop culture jokes that are very Japanese, and they actually figured out how to translate it and the jokes to be relevant in English. They figured it out. Great. Yeah. So, you know, shit like that is you know, and yeah, of course, and then third on that list of like classics that are known in English as another Steve Bloom joint. Samurai Champloo is Japanese in my head. That's how I watched it. That's the show I know. I know Japanese Mugen. I know the whole like that's it's not a dubbed thing to me, you know. So,
hey, does this mean if I play Yakuza 7 in English that I can divorce and wash myself of some of your ambient weeaboo stinky smell? Will some of it come off?
Look, man, I'm not out here saying that the way I did things is the way other people got to do things. So, you know, the indignation at me hearing it differently from the way other people have, I don't care. That's not trying to tell you to go change the way you did things in the past. I'm just saying it's what I did, you know?
I think the irony of that, Wooly, is that I am always literally doing exactly that.
I don't give a fuck about, like, trying to convince someone to go say, oh, the Japanese is better. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just relaying the fact that I happened to watch it that way a really early ass time ago. So... also, it really helps to be in the wall of Quebec where you're not even going to accidentally one day turn on Toonami and catch a random episode of something dubbed.
Not even a once.
Because a lot of the time, even if you didn't watch the thing or you already did watch it, you'd see a thing on TV at some point. You'd be like, oh, look, it's some English anime. We don't, that's not a thing that was happening here. So I didn't even come across it that way. So, you know, I watched it as it came out and then I moved on and
I watched
didn't catch the TV
Tekkaman
stuff.
Blade in English when it was called Techno Man.
Mm-hmm.
That shit was terrible. But I fucking love Tekkaman Blade, but
yeah, it's like old head anime, you know? I don't know what to say. It's like we're fucking, you know, like started trying to had to track down good shit and watch it a decade before, you know, like TV caught on to what was worth watching. So a whole lot of the time.
Hey, you want to get super controversial?
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely believe that the dub is far superior in Sailor Moon than it is the sub. I think Meatball Head and Serena's like dumb shit sass and Sailor Mercury yelling at fucking one of Barrel's henchmen to go bleach his roots and all that shit is fucking killer. And it's not accurate. It's crazy inaccurate. It's like a different story.
Yeah. Characters
get awesome.
Characters get straight gender swapped. I don't even know the Japanese on Sailor Moon. I feel like I've seen again the clips and then the Pegasus and all that weird shit, but I couldn't put together the sounds of their voices because all I hear is English in my head.
I was totally sold on it when I saw a comparison between when Serena slash Usagi finds out that who the identity of Tuxedo Mask,
mm-hmm.
in which she goes, "I'm Tuxedo Mask," and in Japanese she's like, you know, equivalent of like, "Oh my god, I can't believe it! He really was Tuxedo Mask all along. Wow!" And in English, it starts with "No way," and then he just pulls the rose out and is hit with this deadpan like, "Oh my god, he really is Tuxedo Mask. I can't believe it." Like almost Teen Girl Squad. It sounds like it should have been next to Sabrina the Teenage Witch on fucking primetime on ABC. It's incredible.
The weirdest one to get used to, I think, was English Street Fighter. English Street Fighter took some fucking time.
I never got used to it, I'll be honest.
And thank God the options to change, you know, the cast where they should be exist. Because look, man, we all grew up hearing those like what? It's weird. It's weird, but you know, I think it kind of just comes down to a like character by character basis. You know.
You know what series I
like
want
Kyle is doing a good job, but I kind of just want Ryu to be Japanese because that's what I've, you know, grown with.
We're talking a lot about subtitling and languages and dubbings, and I want to give a big old golf clap to a noble effort that achieves the worst of all worlds in this conversation, and that is Tekken.
Tekken is the best.
Tekken achieves the best and worst of all permutations of this argument. It's incredible.
I was waiting to finish talking about Street Fighter to then move into the fact that Tekken nails it by having a canon language spoken canon by the character, and that's what they speak, and this is it. If you're from a place, you speak their language. Yes.
And they all only speak one language?
They all
just talk to each other in it?
They all have a Babel fish in their ears, but they speak the language of the country they come from.
In fights with taunts aces in anything else, it is a nightmare dreamscape. It is so baffling.
Dude,
It is so confusing.
I like the fact that Shaheen is there, you know what I mean, doing his thing, and it's not just a like what's his name, Rashid is cool, great character,
Yeah.
but like everyone speaking their own language, I feel adds a lot to it. It adds a lot of like international personality and flavor.
It has this bizarre situation in Tekken where it makes everyone look like an asshole nationalist, because the only way any of it works is that they can all speak like 10 languages. They just refuse to answer anyone in anything but their native language.
I don't interpret people speaking their languages in that way, like that at all. I don't not like, that's a weird way to see it, and I completely don't at all see that, because I worked with French bosses and people on my team that were French, where I spoke English and they spoke French, and we communicated just fine. I've done that
totally,
before.
and that is almost unique to Montreal. That is a really bizarre situation, honestly.
But as someone who has done that and who has regularly flipped on the switch, and just we both are going, hey, I'm going to speak what I'm comfortable, you're going to speak your comfort, and then we're just going to do it, and like it was fine. Seeing that in Tekken, it's like, yeah, it makes no sense that they all understand everybody, but it doesn't seem like there's a weird intention behind it.
Yeah, Lars is like, I'm going to speak Swedish. Gods be damned that no one I'm talking to in this room may or may not be able to speak Swedish.
Yeah.
I'm going to bork it up.
I love it. I think it's great.
It's a weird place.
It's a land where everyone has a babel fish, and that's what it is, you know.
Oh God, Lars does speak Japanese. Why does Lars speak Japanese?
Wasn't he like
Swedish?
adopted though?
Oh, I can't remember. Tekken's such a mess with the story. Is there a story anymore? Buddy,
there was a whole movie, and you know.
I I watched it.
Yeah.
I think we recorded us watching it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. Come on, buddy.
Anyway, I'm down with Tekken's like international voice acting. I think that's fucking sick. I love it, and it's unique because no one else does it.
Did you see Nagoshi finally talking about Kiryu and Tekken?
Yeah, that's on the docket.
On the docket?
Mm-hmm,
okay,
mm-hmm.
okay. We'll talk about that later.
All
Well,
right.
that's my week. If you want to see the ongoing shit show that is subs versus dubs, you can check out my Yakuza 7 playthrough over at twitch.tv/PatStaresAt. I'm also, despite not having a PlayStation 5, going to be playing DevilMayCry 5-SE on Thursday for a few hours. If that doesn't make any sense to you, come on in and check it out. It'll be cool.
Okay. Yeah, so for me, it was not much to talk about. In terms of just games I've played, I pretty much spent a good amount of time with Accent Core, and then we got to do a little Get Into Fighting Games episode with Kizzy K. It was a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Came on. We played some matches. We set up a room. People came in. You know, ran some sets. It was a whole lot of fun. And man, it's just so crazy to go back to like a version of a game, like it's the ST of the Guilty Gear franchise, right? So what that means is like Super Turbo and Street Fighter is considered like the peak of like the classic Street Fighter 2 games. In this case, Guilty Gear or Accent Core Plus R
all right
is the peak, right? And it is just it's just wild. It's a blast to get thrown into a world where they didn't give a fuck about making anything particularly easy or forgivable, and they're systems that are like, yeah, it's hard to use, deal with it.
It's just how it is.
They were kind of iterating this thing off of like the Japanese arcade scene, which at the time was getting incredibly good at, all features that they were using, that they were implementing into the Guilty Gear XX over time.
Yeah, it's like, is this too hard? Well, I mean, the guys at the arcade don't seem to think it's too hard. So
Totally. Yeah. So,
keep kicking it up.
You just, so I'm in, plus R, like doing these blue Roman cancels with strict timing and a specific type of, not faultless defense, but a specific type of parry block that like lets you recover faster for a little bit of meter, and just like all this stuff going on system wise that is hella intimidating to new players, and under, you can understand why they'd be like, okay, let's try to throw this and start from scratch a little bit here, but ends up being a fuck ton of fun regardless of whether you end up using those things or not. And going back to a world where biking was just fucking terrifying, like super ridiculous abilities, and where every character kind of just had everything and were given broken shit, and it was just the name of the game. Everyone's a little bit broken, and the people who are broken the hardest get to be S tier. It's it's just a little nostalgia.
Single character Marvel.
Sure. I got to experience.
I'll never give Biken that goddamn uppercut back though.
Yeah, well, I mean, so here's the thing: if you're good enough, you can do it on the ground anyway. And
you just instant air it.
Instant air version of it, and it's instant overhead, so it's better. It's better to do it as a grounded thing that is instant air version of the uppercut, because if they're crouching, it'll blow them up, at which point you then Roman cancel and then continue the combo. So, but you gotta just get better at executing so that you can do that reliably, going back to see like what Justice was like when it's like, even with this nerfed version of her, just absolute screen pollution and nonsense and bullshit to get through. Testament being a character that is like, oh man, I sure hope they bring Testament back for the new one. You don't want it. You want Testament?
I don't know. Testament's cool.
You want the idea of Testament from a lore perspective, maybe, or standing around in the background, I believe is what Kizzy said. He can be in the game standing around, but do not make Testament playable, because playing that.
You mentioned Justice, and I was like, I haven't seen Justice play in a million years, and I just loaded up a tourney match. Like, I forgot how much just... It's really obvious how
Fireballs.
This character became New 13 in BlazBlue. Just flood the screen with shit.
And again, you're looking at the toned down version of the character, but like the idea of Testament coming back, like even toned down, it would still probably just be nightmarish with the amount of bullshit you have to navigate to just walk up and get a hit in, much less like, or even just touch a Testament. Invisible traps that you have to pay attention to, like Naoto. Naoto. In P4A.
Testament brought his legacy forward into Naoto. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Now, Naoto in P4A was my favorite match to fight as Akihiko, because like that particular matchup allowed me to navigate the traps and weave around them. You had to be like really on point, but it was fun to play it. It was fun to do. You could get in there, and you could absolutely make them hurt when you stayed in. But Testament has way more shit to just get the fuck out, and it was just a nightmarish reminder. Like, my God, this game doesn't care about being fair at all.
I would really have to say that Strive looks gorgeous. Obviously, that game looks cool, and Accent Core R seems to be doing really well. I picked it up. I would cancel Strive right now to have a rollback Ultimax on modern systems and PC. I would literally kill Strive in order to get Ultimax back again.
Boy, that's aggressive. Man. That's spicy.
I love how you're saying that, but you're not saying, "Oh, that's ridiculous." I never. You're like, "Oh, that's spicy." Take.
That's a lot.
And in the back of your head, you're going like, "No."
That's well, you're saying a mouthful right there.
Yeah, I am saying it.
And I will continue to not indicate either way how I feel about that.
Oh man,
Boy.
Maybe one day.
Well, I mean, look, there is a news story that I threw on the docket right before we went live.
I saw that, yeah.
That involves Atlas talking about porting more shit to Steam. So maybe, just maybe, we don't have to sacrifice anything at the altar. Maybe they'll actually wake the fuck up and catch some money.
Maybe, maybe not. I have some things to tell you about the Nocturne re-release. Did you catch any of that?
No, I suppose not.
So Nocturne HD came out, and don't you dare stream it, motherfucker.
Yeah, of course.
But it is terrible. It is a terrible release. The audio is still compressed. Cutscenes and menus are randomly switched between 4:3 and 16:9, and a lot of the cutscenes just horribly break. Like, you know when Matador pops in?
Okay.
Like, he bamps in that little desert cutscene. Like, the game slows down to 0 frames and hangs because the HD version doesn't know how to handle the particle effect on his entrance.
Really?
Yeah, it is a shitty port of the game.
I was gonna say, is there any footage out there of it choking? But like, I don't know if anyone's risking their streams to do so.
And you have to pay 10 extra bucks. You know what? I fucking found the clip. Here, just watch this shit. I just found it. You can personally watch that. It's 8 seconds a clip.
That fucking sucks, man. Okay, there we go. Wow, oh boy. Oh, that frame rate.
Yeah, dude. It's just falling apart. It's so like great.
That's the type of shit where you like in testing they clearly saw that and just went like, well, flag this, and then they went, well, it runs, it doesn't crash, let it rock, you know. They just kind of let it go. Yeah. Man.
That's it. Bummer. Here, I will hey, you know, every week I talk about clips that you guys at home can't see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to retweet it again on my Twitter. That's @PatStaresAt. And y'all can check out my Twitter, which is.
Do you know what that was running on, though?
Yeah, PS4.
Which version? That was PS4?
Yeah.
Okay. And so I imagine Switch must be like way worse, considering how frame rate shit has been. Oh, sorry,
I was running on the Switch. My mistake.
That was Switch. Okay, well, that's not fucking surprising then, because yeah, the Switch frame rate shits itself on every other game that gets ported.
Yeah. Good job, Switch.
Okay.
Oh, the people are saying in our chat that the PS4 actually runs worse than the Switch.
Woof, 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 bark. Come on. Come on. Ah.
Come on.
Okay, well, Atlas, like, there's money on the table for you, but, like, it's conditional.
You have to actually put in one ass cheek in. Can you at least half-ass it, please, everyone? No? All right.
Well, anyway, yeah. So most of my time on video games was just like getting some rollback matches in. Again, feels great. You know, had some bad matches, but like I was a bit more liberal with the input delay, and you know, I'd see sometimes where it would recommend 1, and I'm like, your ping's looking a little high. Let's set that to 2. You know,
yeah,
and it would work out. So,
honestly,
yeah, again,
in those cases, I always set it to 2 no matter what, because I'd rather have the 1 extra frame than have to switch it back and forth and like, you know, get the weird.
Yeah, you have to get used to whatever you set it to. You know, like it does affect the feel slightly. Yeah, but I want to again let people know that on fanatical.com you can go get it for $3. So like that's a fucking sweet ass deal on Guilty Gear right now, plus rollback. So yeah, that's gonna be coming out shortly on the YouTube channel as well, and of course we continue along with Infinite Warfare and Mario Galaxy and 13 Sentinels, which continues to just fucking crush it, and then there's not much else to say. It's
a high quality video game.
Very high quality video game. I am going to take this week to work on my projects, particularly the obvious. I need to put some time on that Guilty Gear, so I'm going to take this week off from streaming. So there's still videos coming out on YouTube, of course. That schedule will continue, but yeah, for the remainder of this week, I'm going to pretty much be offline on Twitch. So I kind of let people know for the last couple of weeks that I was planning to do this. So I've been kind of giving everyone a heads up. So now is the time we're going to do that. And then yeah, I'll be back with all the regular stuff as of the week after. But I definitely do need the time to get some progress. And this is the best way for me to do it. So.
If you're sad that Wooly's not streaming this week, you could always check out my stream over at twitch.tv/PatStaresAt. I'll be playing Yakuza.
There you go. You know. Also, though, the anime continues, so support the anime. Please do. And yeah, I believe sometime this week I'm slated to receive the Beast. I'm getting my alerts from the delivery that say it's on the way. We're going with the term Absolute Unit 01 for now. So my computer should be arriving, at which point I will take some pictures. Might have to...
I'm a little jealous of your computer, I'll be honest.
Yeah?
Yeah, it has a much stronger CPU in it than mine.
Yeah, the specs are kind of meant for me to not have to ever think about specs ever again.
Yeah. you're gonna oh man, well, I'm so excited for you. You get to have one of the most miserable but smuggest experiences you can have in video games, where you can definitively tell that the port is shit. If you boot it up and it runs anything less than immaculate at max settings, you just get to go, well, this port sucks.
Yep. Looking at you, Injustice. Just yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to running shit on stupid settings and seeing if it indeed can run Crisis.
Nothing can run Crisis.
It's like, isn't it like the most poorly optimized infinite max setting?
1 is single core. It's the reason why nothing can run Crisis. It's why Can It Run Crisis was a thing, because the only way you could get it to run well is you'd have to like insanely like cryogenically overclock your fucking single core CPU. Nothing runs Crisis.
The benchmark continues. I love it. The impossible benchmark.
It's so stupid. And there's like a bunch of Crisis games. None of them have that problem.
No, just the first one.
Like the first one.
Yeah.
Just the first one.
So yeah, Wooly Versus on YouTube, Wooly Versus on Twitch, all that fun stuff. And we'll be back with some good shit the week after. And I've got some fun ideas for some upcoming content too. So yeah, stick around. I'll have to confirm, because I'm pretty sure the week will continue with videos at the very least. I think I have enough backlog for there to be
you probably do
enough coming out. But yeah, for Twitch we're going to be down. Cool. Let's take a quick word from our sponsors.
Let's do that.
This week, Castle Super Beast is sponsored by Away. Once again, I've let you know about it. It's real simple. It's just the best goddamn suitcase in the world. It's the best suitcase I've ever used. It's suitcases to last a lifetime. Durable exteriors, great wheels, great space packing, great features, a nice rechargeable battery inside of the top of the case that you can access, and overall just a sense of design and the fact that it actually fits everywhere that it needs to, nice and easy luggage wise. It's been my fucking favorite suitcase, bar none.
Listen, if you're traveling in the current times, the last thing you need to worry about is a shitty suitcase. Get a good one.
You need something that'll put all of that extra traveling ease of mind. Yeah, take it off of your luggage. There's other things going on. So what you want to do is you can check out the various different models they've got available, and they've got a 100-day trial, so you can actually try it out, see how it feels for 100 days. That's a really long time. Again, obnoxiously long time to get to try something out. And if it's not for you, you can return it. Any non-personalized item for a full refund during that period. No ifs, ands, or asterisks. So they've also got free shipping and returns on any order within the contiguous US, Europe, Canada, and Australia. Like I said, ever since I've gotten my Away suitcase, it's been the only choice, and I've gotten more since then, and both myself and Punch Mom pretty much use it for any traveling that we do and anything we need. So it's just been the best. So you can start your 100-day trial and shop the entire Away lineup of travel essentials, including their best-selling suitcases, at awaytravel.com/beast. That's awaytravel.com/beast. Thanks, Away.
Thanks, Away.
The podcast is also sponsored by Honey. And Honey, for those who have not heard before, is for your online shopping. It's quite simple. These days, we're doing a whole lot of online shopping. I know I am. I know that the doorbell is ringing. Every day, there's stuff getting dropped off. There's packages. There's all kinds of things coming in and out. It's just a part of what we're doing.
It's just part of the new world in the after times.
So, with this regular online shopping habit that we got going on right now, why not save some money where you can? Today's sponsor, Honey, comes in by basically jumping in. It's a free browser extension that scours the internet for promo codes and automatically tests them when you're checking out. So basically, the little promo code box that pops up before you check out of your online shop is a little tease box. There's savings in that box, but we don't know how to unlock them. We do not know the secrets and the codes. Honey does, and it will basically look through, over 30,000 supported sites. And once it finds what you're shopping, you just click on Apply Coupons, and then, bam, you'll get a discount on your cart. So there it is. Save money. Honey's...
with Honey.
Save money with Honey. There you go. It's got over 17 million members, and they've saved over $2 billion already. So they're supporting all kinds of retailers, tech, gaming sites, fashion, even food delivery. So everything's on the list. Why not save at that little box where the savings come from? So yeah, it's simple. If you have a computer, Honey should be on it. It's free, works whatever browser you want to use, and you can get Honey for free today at joinhoney.com/superbeast. That's joinhoney.com/superbeast. Oh, 1 second. Correct. Joinhoney.com/superbeast. Yep, so that they know we sent you. Thank you, Honey.
Thanks, Honey.
Yeah. All right. So this week in the news, we got a couple things going down. In particular, we already covered what with the Atlas stuff. But just to, I suppose, formalize it, the exact statement was that Sega reiterates plans to release more ports of Atlas games to various platforms during their March 2021 fiscal year second quarter briefing. So they're waking up.
I would really
to the
like
money on
more
the table.
Atlas games, please.
Ported well.
Please. The P4G one wasn't perfect, but it was pretty good.
It's getting pretty hard for people to play your games these days. It'd be nice if they could play the ones that, they would like to play that are really good.
Sega is really bizarre. It's really weird because sometimes they're really just the worst. Other times they're surprisingly progressive. Probably the goofiest thing is remember we were laughing because Yakuza 7 is delayed horribly on PS5 and only on PS5.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
The PC version, though, does come out day and date, and that'll mark the first time ever that a Yakuza game comes out day and date with the localized version. That's weird.
Sega owns a disproportionately large number of shit that I care about, and they're keeping it dead. It's kind of frustrating. It's not even sprinkled across a bunch of companies that are all handling things differently. They got a whole bunch of them. It fucking sucks.
Please, Dave, Daytona USA.
That's anything with the goddamn AM2 logo on it needs saving.
Anything with the AM2 logo. Is there a single developer that has a better track record of just fucking bangers?
And not the Yu Suzuki logo, specifically the AM2 palm tree.
Sega AM2. You see that and you're like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's good. It feels good. See, and I have that feeling, and I know you don't, and I don't care. I have that feeling when the Dreamcast logo spins up.
That's nice.
When the Dreamcast logo spins up, I'm like, oh, some good shit's coming. We're about to play something fun.
Unless the fucking machine burns itself out and it actually just dies on you.
And also, I was actually going through recently for one of the videos I was working on. I was going through a history of Capcom logos, and there is a lot of good feelings associated, but there is nothing like that PS2 era with the blue sky. Like,
oh, really? Because my Capcom logo of choice is all the little blue squares.
the cubes.
Yeah, the cubes. That's mine.
Yep, that's true too. That's the that's your X4, your Mega Man X4, and like your alphas,
Alpha 3 and RE2 and all that stuff.
Anyway, it's Capcom logos elicit a good feeling for sure.
Oh my god, this fucking dog is such an asshole today. Ah!
Anyway, hopefully they fucking
dick
wake
come
up.
out of its sheath earlier was awful.
That's not. We don't need that.
It was upsetting. It was like flopping around like a little disgusting red rocket. I hated it.
The PS5 designer says, when I started drawing, it was much larger.
Yeah. What?
It was supposed to be bigger.
So, Wooly, I'm sure you took a tape measure to your house and went, where can the PS5 go?
No, I've got room, but it's just silly.
Okay. Because I did, and I discovered that the PS5 will just barely fit with like 1 inch of clearance in my entertainment center. And all I could think of is, this thing is absolutely the maximum they could make this thing before it wouldn't fit in people's stuff. Like, you know, they must look at average, shelf space or whatever the fuck.
I mean, I feel like they're kind of edging the generation a little bit and possibly getting us ready for a future where it's like, look, we don't care about your size problems. We're making it as big as it needs to fucking be, and that's it. Figure it out. Too bad.
Damn.
We'll see. But it's a fat boy, and it was supposed to be even fatter. Says,
don't edge my size problem, Sony. Jeez.
Yujin Morisawa. Yeah, I'm scanning over this. Engineering told him it's too big, so he shrank it down from the original drawing. So what we have now is the engineering shrunk version.
That's ridiculous. And it's still as the largest heatsink ever.
I mean, it's for good reason. It's not for bad reasons. We understand exactly why it's as fat as it is ever since this teardown,
Yeah, Digital Foundry actually did a thermal breakdown. Apparently it's really cool inside that machine. Like it's thermally efficient. It runs really well. It may have some kind of horrible hardware flaw, but it will not be a heating hardware flaw.
So yeah, we talked about the Last Guardian disc version compatibility. Bloodborne ain't gonna happen.
Not gonna happen.
Not the original game, at least.
Yeah.
And yes, the definitive word on Kiryu showing up in fighting games, not from Harada, but from Nagoshi this time, says he's apprehensive about putting Kiryu in fighting games because generally fighting games have female characters, and personally, I don't really want to see Kiryu beating up women. Question mark. Again, as someone who's played this franchise,
I can answer this question.
Not once?
Not once. Asterix. All right. So, the only reason Kiryu can be said to have never beaten up any women's is because the only women's he ever slapped in the face was in fact a little girl, which classifies her as a child type first. So if you look up Kiryu slaps Haruka, you will see a big fucking open hand like slap, just kablow, because she was freaking out, and he was like, "Shut up."
So he disciplines a child.
Yeah,
He doesn't
he had
fight a
just
woman.
met that child. Also, it should be noted that was in Yakuza 1, where Kiryu was more of a scumbag. However, so here's the thing, right? Kiryu has not beat up the women's. However, there is another popular Yakuza character that you could put into a Tekken that did beat some women's. And that's Majima.
Mm-hmm.
Majima totally slapped around his ex-wife. You find that out in Yakuza 5.
Okay, now here's the question. As excited as everyone would be, would there not be an overwhelmingly angry sentiment that it's Majima and not Kiryu?
No. They're player 1 and player 2 now. They're Dante and Virgil. They're people would be cool with it. In fact, a lot of people would be like, great, because Majima's got the knife.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't realize that.
People will be stoked.
They wouldn't care
Majima
that
was
the
in
poster boy got looked over instead.
No, and in fact, you could have Majima like crawl out of a garbage can, or like a goddamn.
Well, I mean,
yeah. Tekken already has Akuma and not
so that
Ryu.
like we didn't get Ryu and we didn't get Rick, you know?
Yeah.
So that makes sense. We didn't get Terry, but we did get Noctis.
Oh my god, when you said Rick, I'm like, who, like Stroud?
Grimes.
And like, no, you mean Rick of Rick and Coral.
Mm-hmm. Grimes.
Wow.
So yeah, the poster boys don't have to make the cut. This is already hard confirmed. So that makes sense.
But Majima is also just as much of a poster boy nowadays. Like, he was a boss, and then he was a big character, and then he was a bigger character, and then he was a bigger character, and then you hit 0 where he shares 50% of that game with Kiryu.
So by that logic, there you go. You can fit him right in. But then, if you do, you don't get to have him and Kazuya having the big suit match, you know?
That's true. That's true.
So,
But Majima's dialogue would be way more interesting with all the other characters than Kiryu's would be.
interesting twist. However, I'm going to go ahead and say that this is a deconfirm.
Yeah.
If it was going to happen, it would have
Bummer.
happened. And the HBO executives are much further away from the Namco Bandai offices than
That's true.
Sega. You know?
Maybe they're saving Majima to be a guest character in Virtua Fighter, right?
So, next story. Hard confirm. BioWare says spring 2021. Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
They neglected to actually show the game.
That trailer wasn't new stuff?
That trailer was like
A bunch of faces?
like models moving around.
Yeah.
It wasn't actually, what. So it's like, because one of the reasons that this took so long is they apparently cleaned up Mass Effect 1.
Mm-hmm.
And like, are they just slapping new models on? Because I don't know how familiar you are with Mass Effect, but if you just slap new models on some of those old animations, it'll be hilarious.
I assume that trailer was showing off the assets that, are going to be used in the new thing.
Yeah, but it's not just assets. It's also animation. It's also all sorts of shit.
I'll say
there's
this.
a lot to be done.
I think companies like Bluepoint existing put remasters to shame. constantly, and they set a bar that is probably not one that like, I don't think EA and BioWare are rather just BioWare. Like, I don't know if they're willing to go that hard on remastering something. You know what I mean?
They should.
Bluepoint does what other companies are not willing to do in many cases, probably because they're like an entire studio that gets handed the work that, let's say, FromSoft didn't want to do. You know?
So they really should, because alongside the official announcement of the first trilogy with as a remaster, came GameSpot accidentally leaking out that there is totally another Mass Effect game in development for a couple of years from now. That has nothing to do with Andromeda, which Andromeda was the do-over, and that was a massive failure. So now they have to do another do-over, which means that what they're building off of is this goddamn remastered trilogy of games. So, yeah, they should put a lot of work into this.
So this is one of those, okay.
It's the
you could justify... you could justify the expenses by saying, we'll take this as the baseline for some new content afterwards.
Yeah. The only place they have left to go, it's funny, because they went to a whole new galaxy and botched it. They botched a whole galaxy in setting. What an astonishing achievement for, like, your IP. And there's literally nowhere that the story can go after Mass Effect 3 in our galaxy. So the only location left, and you can probably see people saying it right now, is something called the First Contact War, which is prequels. Prior to Shepard, right?
The stuff that you get told about in the games that probably have books.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
And if they botch that, there's nowhere to go. Like they will have ruined it. And there won't be anywhere you can place it in time or space that anyone will care about. And that's crazy.
You could always just, like, make a game and override Andromeda.
If they're gonna do that, they should override the fucking Mass Effect 3 ending.
You could override anything, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, they should. They should have, in fact.
And a lot of franchises are getting way more willing to just step in and say, yeah, you know what? All the Terminators you didn't like didn't happen. Only the ones you liked happened, and then this one.
I don't believe that we should go into the Halloweenification of video game plots. I don't think that's a good idea. However, okay.
Don't fuck it up to start with. How about that?
However, let's just say this fucking Legendary Edition comes out and changes the ending again. Because, dude, I have read essays on this. I have said it. People are saying it. You could fucking redo the last 10 minutes of that game into 10 different better endings. Right? Like, it really is the last 10 minutes.
Okay.
It's crazy.
Well, we'll see. But that is next year. April. Spring, rather.
Hey, you're familiar with Squall is Dead, FF8 theory?
I am.
Do you remember the indoctrination theory?
Which one was that?
So in Mass Effect 3, this gentleman made this video series that
I
this
didn't pay attention to anything related to 2 or 3 because I didn't play them.
So it was this
all I know
giant
is that there's
video,
colors.
It was this giant video thing that was a different rendition of the ending that basically posited like a Squall is dead style theory.
Abstract to save it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that made the ending way, way better.
Mm-hmm.
If a little far-fetched and a little ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And BioWare had the dumbass audacity to come out when everyone was still mad about the game and go, wow, that's pretty funny, but it's super wrong. It's totally not. Like, just leave it. Just leave it.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, just
I'm reminded.
Oh my god.
I'm reminded of like KOTOR stuff, you know. It sounds similar vibes to a lot of KOTOR feelings about like loose ends and characters and things, and yeah.
Like if people create a fan fiction rendition of your ending that makes people happy, let them. Why would you stomp it? Why? It's so stupid. Oh,
that Squall is dead shit though is like there's a point at which you've left the planet entirely and it's now just like about this as a unique work of its own fiction.
Yeah, totally.
I would say the Matrix within a Matrix thread back before Reloaded came out is similar energy, where someone basically wrote a novel about how and why the end of between Reloaded and Revolutions, between 2 and 3, they had a novel, and these movies were months apart. Like it was like a single year or less, mind you, but it was a crazy ass trip, and in the end, of course, it was better than what we actually got. But anyway, that's what's happening there.
So, like, Squall is Dead is insane, but like, I enjoyed reading it. Like,
you have to accept
it was interesting.
You've left the planet, but this is a fascinating, self-contained rant, as is. You know, let's keep going back to that screenshot of the hole in the face.
Yeah, that's cool.
So we got this trailer for some brand new fucking hot shit called Vivarion.
Okay.
And it is...
Is that with an I or a Y?
V-A-R-V-A-R-I-O-N. Varvarion.
The Varvarion. Here we go.
This looks really interesting.
Oh, it's this thing. That's what it's called.
It is an anime arena-based fighter, and it has really cool hit stop. I'm going to compliment it on its hit stop first. The sense of impact is good.
I'm going to compliment it on its legally distinct orc design.
Sure. Yes.
That's really...
That is an orc-ass orc. And these characters look cool. There's some anime girls. There's some anime boys. They're juggling and hitting.
Lady with big old titties. Looks like a Plague of Gripes creation.
It looks... the rhythm of it feels like a funner version of what the Kill la Kill game was going for. There's some really nifty like dodges that you see, and like the system is this whole thing is being made by one guy, right?
That's really impressive.
Varvarion is the name if you want to look this up. And yeah, it is one Japanese indie developer is showing off as well. There's a like PvE mode with a crowd of like, you know, enemies to beat up. So it's not just a a fighting game. But like out of nowhere, looks really, really cool.
Yeah, I saw this blowing up all over Twitter, and like animated GIFs showing up. Like I saw a quote from the dev. It's like, I would like when the air battle to happen that it feels like an anime,
Yeah,
or something along those lines. And I'm like looking at him like, yeah, it looks like a goddamn anime.
And the accompanying video to that is like you're seeing the director of Dragon Ball Fighters. Interesting.
Oh well, okay then.
That's cool. Not the producer. She's the director. Yeah. Okay. All right. So you're seeing, as he says that, you're seeing like dodges that like have big anime speed lines, and then like someone else swings, and then you get a big old huge dodge animation for that too. So there's a nice little back and forth, and it has tons of juice. Tons of juice. The person clearly knows what they're doing, and the model quality is high. And again, the hit stop is when I see that, I go, yeah, okay, you get it. When you see games like this that just like, random anime fighter, for example, anime arena fighter for whatever franchise, they slap this shit together, and oftentimes like little things like that will be lacking. And the impact as a result will suffer for it. But Varion looks fucking cool, and I eye it.
That looks really cool.
We will watch your progress with great intrigue.
Hey, if you'll excuse me, I'm not going anywhere. I just need to get up and turn on the chili.
Go ahead. You turn that chili on.
So I can eat the chili later.
Chili good. Nothing wrong with no chili. So yeah, that's Varion. Now, let's take a look over here at the new. This is pretty cool. I don't know why they didn't announce this when they dropped Melina, but Mortal Kombat 11 had one more significant change in the pipeline that they only brought up well after the new characters and shit.
They've decided to make it fun to play?
Yes! Custom variations in tournament play.
That's actually a lot closer to the stupid shit I said than I was.
That is exactly what they added. That is exactly it. They added custom variations. So all the banned moves that you couldn't use, they've made them one, balanced, and two, quick selectable in tournament mode when you pick the character, so that you can.
That's great.
So you can pick the character and then quickly scroll through a bunch of those customizable moves that you want and make yourself a custom variation real quick. And that opens the game up like fucking crazy, because every character now has like
all sorts of stupid shit.
A bunch of new grooves, essentially. Yeah. On a technical level, they almost just like quadrupled the roster. If you're just
that's great.
If you're just thinking about functions, not every move got accessible. Like they've explained that like stuff like, for example, Terminator has this crazy armored move that you could put on in the original, that the Terminate move would allow him to be like armored up and always ignore block and hit stun. And they're not letting that happen, but anything that is balanced and viable will be selectable and quick equipable on the character select screen. So yes, they've opened up the game drastically and made it a lot more fun. And people have already started labbing some crazy shit. And it's like, thank God, what a great little final thing to I don't know if they're going to touch it anymore, but no, wait, Ed Boon did talk about wanting to keep things going, but that's a huge one. That's really big for the game.
I just want to hold back to block, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I hear
it. It extra hurts after we played Injustice, and it showed that it could be totally done.
At this point, it's just tradition.
Tradition is stupid.
But like
every tradition in the world is stupid. put my foot down. All of them.
I mean, most of them are, so you're not even mostly wrong, but I would go ahead and say that like they started designing moves around the fact that you do have a block button and designing the system around it as well. So it's at this point like it's come too far into the realm of like there's a button for this, and when you're not pressing it, you can get like, for example, you can get thrown if you're blocking low. But if you are not blocking, but you're just crouching, the throw will whiff.
That's so weird.
So
weird.
It makes it so that the intent to block is what's getting punished in that situation. There are moves, there are fireballs that you can crouch underneath. If you're not blocking, they'll go above your head. But if you do hold block, then you'll block them and get pushed.
That's so goofy.
So it's been designed at this point around that system. You know, it's not as easy as just throwing it in the function. And
I was holding crouch when I stood up. How come Ryu's high kick hit me in the face? Well, because for one frame you were standing, dipshit. Like, oh.
Yeah, like fighting games have moves that are like called like forced standing. You know, like they force your character into a standing position, and like that stuff's really important. And yeah, this game plays with highs and lows in a way that is unique because it doesn't have left right. Cross ups don't exist, right? Well, they exist, but it's not like the guessing game is there when someone comes from behind. So instead, it plays with high low.
There's a game I like that has the block button, and when you're blocking low, you can get hit with a mid, and that'll crumple you, or you can get thrown out of your crouch state with a crouch throw. So if you're playing you
get blown up by a mid.
If you're playing Wolf and you hit the knee when the guy's crouching, then they crumple.
Fox,
and you can do the shoulder
Fox.
Charge.
You mean
into
Fox?
the
Steve Fox, yeah. He's got good mids. Dead or alive?
Forward punch with Wolf is also a mid, and it has a follow up that does a knockdown.
You mean Ayane?
Is the Sega arcade stuff in the docket this week?
I'm getting conflicting versions of this story. So
it's so confusing, but it seems really important, doesn't it?
Yes, it is. And I don't know. I don't quite know.
I got a news story earlier the week that's like straight up Sega's arcade operations are bankrupt.
Sega's arcade operations are shutting down. And then someone said it's not like all of them, it's just like the Akihabara one. And then like I'm here. Let me see what's going on. Someone said it's not as bad as it seems, and then so Sega is selling its arcade business. After shutting down its famous Akihabara arcade, it's withdrawing from the arcade business due to the impact of the pandemic. Okay, that sucks.
Yeah, they're selling. Sega will no longer
be in the arcade business.
Be an arcade company, which is end of an era, end of decades-long era.
So yeah, Sega and again, yeah, more specifically, Sega Sammy Holdings was the company that they kind of formed.
You know what that means, though, right? Sega just got access to the free time of a lot of killer developers.
I mean, if that's not the most wishful ass thinking, I don't know what the fuck is, dude.
It means that it means that you remember they did the Virtua Fighter esports. Do you remember that thing? Well, it can't be an arcade thing now because there will be no arcade. So it has to be a new Virtua Fighter for home consoles.
You know what? You're right. The only reason why Sega's been ignoring all these brands we want for so long is because they've been too busy focused on their arcade division. That's the only thing that's been holding them back all this time.
Yeah, they like it. They like arcades.
Sega Sammy has sold 85.1% of the company and its shares to Genda Inc., an arcade rental company. Sega will continue to make arcade machines and the like. Genda can then purchase those machines, which will continue to bear the Sega branding. This is why the story was confusing.
Oh, because they're still going to make arcade cabs, but they're not an arcade company anymore in terms of managing the arcades themselves.
Someone else owns it, and someone else will be buying their machines. And
well, that means that they need the money to spend extra time to make really good Virtua Fighter 6 cabs.
So those same developers continue to be just as busy as they were.
Yeah, but they'll put now they can spend the money from the arcade division into porting the arcade. I just really
and then when they finish it, and then when they make it, and they go, "Hey, look, we've made a new Virtua Fighter game." Genda Inc. can look at it and be like, "Nah, we don't want that. Maybe take it back and make it a pachinko." And then Sega's going to be
I don't know
okay.
whether or not it makes it like legit harder to deal with dead ass Virtua Fighter, or makes it like gives me a smile that they're in the Yakuza games. I genuinely don't know if it makes it easier or worse.
To me,
that Kiryu can play a mean Akira.
I mean, it's objectively better because it exists in some format without having to dust off an old console and plug it in. However, it absolutely does so with disrespect. And it gives it, like I said, the least amount of importance you can possibly give a game by shoving it in a menu with Puyo Puyo called mini games. You know, so anyway, so that's what's happening.
I would say that Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown may in fact be the closest thing to a macro game since chess. Possibly the game.
I mean, that's a pretty ridiculous statement, considering that Go is more complex than chess.
How about you take that and go out of here?
You know, say what you want.
You know, I should have said take that and go, but I wanted to make it extra awkward, so I added the go out of here. So it's very awkward now.
Good.
Like, I could have said, why don't you take that and go out of my face? With that.
Yeah, so, you know, chess is definitely the most popular. However, if you're looking for strategic complexity, like, Go fucking is like literally, like, you can it's exponential. There's exponential outcomes by comparison.
Go doesn't have an 8-frame low punch. I don't give a shit.
Okay, but what about Go? Does Go have an 8-frame low punch?
8-frame low punch. And it's good. You can follow it up with down forward kick and then punch to get a knockdown and get into his floor grab setup.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, it's pretty rough for Sega, right? We can all agree.
It's obviously not good.
We can all agree it's pretty bad. But can we also not agree that it could have been worse?
Yeah,
for example, they could have had a terabyte of their data encrypted by hackers and sold up for ransomware.
So I talked about this very briefly on my stream, and it's a very complicated upsetting situation, particularly for people like us that cover news about video games. Because from a practical, soulless, bordering on nefarious point of view, this is great for news and consumers because Capcom should not pay a ransomware demand to get their shit back, right? Which means people will find out about a bunch of games that they're developing that, they didn't know about before. However, holy shit, that's so terrible for Capcom. It's not just source code to games. It's not just game announcements. It's also personal information of people who work there.
Did you read the description of exactly what's in there?
I did not.
Yeah, it's personal information. It's banking information. It's sales numbers. It's literally everything sensitive and private that you could possibly be worried about beyond just projects and games and leaks.
Awesome.
So
these are sarcastic awesomes, by the way.
So the story is that Capcom, as everyone has been working online due to the pandemic, Capcom's online security was not that great, it would seem.
Everybody's security took a hit.
And
Watch Dogs got hit by the same thing. Ubisoft got hit by the nearly identical thing.
Oh, DedSec?
And that's how the Watch Dogs Legion source code came out. And people discovered that the reason why the game runs so terribly is that it appears to have been coded by children.
The irony of Watch Dogs getting leaked through hacks is not lost on me.
Once we're done with the Capcom thing, I actually have a programmer friend of mine that I contacted to get a statement on the Watch Dogs shit.
That's incredible. Okay, so they got straight up Capcom got straight up thrown a fucking old school Juarez style ASCII readme that was like, hello Capcom, if you're reading this, it means your network has been penetrated and all your files and data have been encrypted by Ragnar Locker. You have to contact us via live chat immediately to resolve this case and make a deal. Warning, do not modify, rename, copy, or move any files or you can damage the encryption and decryption will be impossible. Do not use any third-party public decryption software. You may also damage files. Do not shut down or reset your system. It can damage files. There is only one possible way to back up your files. Contact us via live chat for a special decryption key. For your guarantee that we'll decrypt 2 of your files for free to show you that it works. Don't waste your time. The link to contact us will be deleted. If there's no contact made in the closest time, you'll never restore your data. But if you contact us within 2 days of getting penetrated, you'll get a very special price. And then they go on to talk about how they've breached 1 terabyte of total sensitive data, including accounting files, banking statements, budget, revenue, confidential tax documents, IP, business info, literally absolutely everything. And then they show some screenshots.
The obvious thing is do not
negotiate with terrorists.
Any money. Well, no, don't negotiate with terrorists, but as obvious for all the same reasons you always would. But here it's double obvious. Everyone's still working from home. Your security is still shit. There's absolutely no reason why people couldn't pull the same shit on you 2 weeks from now if you paid them.
Unless they overhaul their security. Which they most assuredly would. There's no question that this is the type of security breach that happens that you shut down operations to figure this out, straight up. Whenever security breaches happened at places I've worked in the past, they've been physical. So we've had breaches where someone has walked out of a place with something they should not have. Yeah. Or, and in which case it's just a matter of catching that person. We haven't had anything of like a digital breach variety that I can think of, or if we have, like I can't really remember. It's been a really long time. But when these things do happen, like you go through you stop at no lengths to make sure your shit is airtight, and you 100% are axing your security team as well. Like they have one job, and this is you can't do the job. We need someone who can. So, this could theoretically, be stopped if they went through like some kind of crazy procedure after this that was more secure. But what sucks is you have no guarantees about, like, I don't know, like literally, like if they're ransoming this shit, who's to say that they don't have copies of it? Who's to say they don't, like, they could be lying about any obvious detail in that ransom message.
Thanks for the money, idiots.
So
like there's
even starting to play along goes down a path that reaps no rewards. Yeah, it's a fucking shit situation. And again, like, fuck the game leaks and news and data, whatever. Like, people's personal fucking doxed info are
Absolutely.
at risk. That's,
but then it becomes, what is our and this is a genuine question because I'm not sure because it's complicated. Mm-hmm. What is our genuine responsibility as influencer / tastemakers to discuss the product leaks that will occur as a result of this, because they are also associated with straight up crimes, right? And it's like, because at some point it will become like let's imagine let's say Street Fighter 6 is something that gets leaked as a result of this, right?
Yeah.
How long do we pretend we don't know what Street Fighter 6 is?
Right. Well,
because it's going to be really weird right away.
It is. Here's the thing. You and I both know that we're used to pretending we don't know things a lot of the time.
What are you talking about? I would never.
So why?
Especially not about something like Street Fighter 6. I could never pretend to not know about that.
So this is not uncharted territory in terms of what we discuss publicly and such. That's not uncharted territory. It's not a question of that. What I would say is that if there's obviously some stuff that ethically there's no reason for you to talk about, things that can affect someone's private life, if any of that data goes in that direction, or like linking to go be like, hey, look at these files over here. It also happens to include some addresses, but never mind those stuff files. Look at the cool shit or the art or whatever the fuck. That's
like, imagine if
that's
there was
disgusting.
like part of the leaks was like, as a result of these leaks and photos that people on Capcom servers maintained, it's been discovered that an employee at Capcom actually, in fact, has the world's largest penis. That wouldn't be appropriate to discuss because that's private.
Yes.
Even if good for them.
Yes. Like, sure.
What, did that throw you? Did that throw you for a loop there?
Yeah, it's not where I thought it was going. But
yeah, okay, yeah. It's
packing a real yeah. A real capsule.
Yeah.
Think about
Listen,
it. Here's what I would say is I think that when leaks have occurred in the past, they haven't necessarily, they might have included this type of information, we don't know. And I think in most cases what ends up happening is the information gets disseminated. God, I fucking can't speak. The information gets spread in such a way across the internet that you will see news stories reporting on like rumors of this leak or that leak or whatever the case is that eventually just make it a public topic. And I think that in the past, there have been leaks about things that you've known or I've known and then like the official announcement hasn't dropped yet, but the public topic occurs, and at that point, I think it's coverable as a story.
Mm-hmm.
But again, this is there's definitely a discussion to have about it. I think once something is being covered in that manner, and what you are covering is not anything that we are talking about with the sensitive information, and it's about as much as a news site would report on, or a journalist would write about, then you're just discussing the news.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. As long as we don't break any news associated with this criminal nonsense, we're probably in the clear. Because I don't want to reward people for essentially kicking down the door to somebody's computer and just stealing it. That's
of course
immoral.
Not. But the internet is also not going to universalize that standard and collectively agree to hold the door shut on that.
It's just really annoying because, like, this isn't how leaks are supposed to happen, right? The way leaks are supposed to happen is in one of three ways. One, you're friends with somebody on the dev team, and they just tell you, and you're an asshole, and you just tell everybody. Two, a dev gets drunk at E3 or PAX. Or three, you're chatting with a developer and they deny something in a weird way that actually confirms something. That's how leaks are supposed to happen.
For an employee's cousin or nephew films himself playing through some shit on a black and on a CRT, so that every time it cuts to a black loading screen, you can see his face as he's filming it, and then he goes, "Oh man, I can totally see my reflection. Oh shit."
Oh yeah. Or as people pointed out, or another one, which is literally just walk up to an actor in a DevilMayCry game and go, "Hey, is DMC5 happening?" And Daniel Southworth goes, "Yeah, dude, I'm gonna play Virgil in it."
Hey Daniel, why'd you change your Facebook profile photo to the DMC5 logo?
No reason, bro.
Yeah, so there's those, there's that, and this is different from that for sure. But I think there's a certain point that you can just go like, an aspect of this because it gets discussed as just news. People were bringing it up, and it's true. Think about The Last of Us 2. Think about how that went down and how that was affected, and how effectively it nuked that game in a way that I've never seen any other game get nuked.
Yeah. Created an incredible meme with the MS Paint drawings.
I just don't think any game of that high budget, of that level of AAA, quadruple A possibly, could has ever been through that level of a fucking ringer with a leak, and the way it all played out, and then the level of like stifling it, and just everything was just absolute dog shit. But no matter what happens, when the information came out, there was no stopping people from talking about it. There was repercussions for those who did, in high places, but for the most part, the internet still discussed.
Well, there's no repercussions for me, haha. Except Sony won't respond to my emails anymore.
Hey, what are you talking about? They found an extra code.
Yeah, but now they won't. Anyway, I spoke with somebody. I spoke with a third-party influencer, and I'm like, "Hey, I talked mad shit about Last of Us on my podcast, and then they sent me a code, and I still talk shit about it." And they were like, "Dude, I used to work with Sony. They are never gonna talk to you again." I'm like, "Oh, oops. Oh well, oopsie doodle. Oh well."
I liked Ghost of Tsushima. I thought it was a very fun video game.
Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima was great. But it's funny because I mentioned Mass Effect 3 earlier, and Mass Effect 3 was the victim of the entire script leaking out way ahead of time. like game's not even close to done, and the whole script leaked out. And one of the reasons why the ending is so bad is because the way that those game stories were originally written were they would have the main writer write it, and then they would have everybody on the team, all the leads would sit around and they'd all kind of argue about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the leak happened, and then Casey Hudson grabbed the writer. Casey Hudson was the director, and they like disappeared into his office and came out with, this is the new ending that didn't leak. And that's kind of why the ending is so terrible, because it was actually like a last second rewrite. Because you know what's more important?
Wow. Okay.
You know what's way more important than having a good story? Subverting expectations. It's way more important to surprise than it is to have a good story.
So straight up on some Game of Thrones finale / Lost finale level shit.
Yeah.
Just
it's like
keep them guessing. That's all that matters.
Yeah, keep them guessing. And it's like that. Like the first script had problems. The original writer was not super happy with what like, you know, how it worked out, and they were workshopping it at the time. So which explains why they were so ready to just be like, fuck it, let's go something totally different. But anybody that's taken a 10-second glance at that script will tell you what they had before was a hell of a lot better than what they had afterwards.
Yeah, when you write a good story, you write a good story, and it's more important that the story remain good than you fucking like tanking it just for the sake of shocking everybody when they get there. That's anyone competent can tell you that. Obviously Star Wars, similar kind of deal, right?
Yup.
Wow, that's a stupid reason for things to turn out the way they did. Huh. Okay. Didn't know that. Well, I certainly do hope that I don't like, this is one of those things where honestly, like, I imagine the first move here is Capcom consult a digital security firm and just get their take on it, because that sounds like I have no idea how you even play this, you know, but there's more details.
Step 2, start getting some trailers ready.
I suppose.
So Activision is a bunch of stupid evil fucks. But when Kotaku leaked the entirety of Modern Warfare 3, including all the levels and a bunch of the shit, they fucking had a info blast the next day.
Yeah.
And killed that story.
Yeah.
By saying instead, get fucking hype for this shit.
No, get everyone
it was the only option.
Get everyone together, get Matt, get Street Writer, get all the fucking Capcom people, put together a Captivate 2020 out of nowhere, and just announce like whatever the fuck ahead of time, you know, just in case, you know, anything goes bad. Because yeah, heading it off at the pass is in fact a nice fuck you for at least the public news. But
well, you know what you have to do when you're dealing with a hostage situation. The hostage taker is unreasonable, right?
Shoot the hostage.
You got to shoot the hostage. It's the only way.
Make a point. It's Kaiser Sose. Not only did we announce all the games, we've put them online right now, live. You can play them, early access.
They're busted. They're real fucked.
But they're up in early access right now. Just Kaiser Sose, all of it.
That'd be crazy.
I mean, don't you think, like, wouldn't there be some level of sympathy across the industry?
Oh, absolutely.
If that were to happen, I feel like everyone would be like,
let's take it easy on them.
Yeah, I think so. I legitimately think so. Trying to make the best out of a garbage situation. But yeah, that's a fucking weird story happening, and that sucks. Don't fucking do that.
So before we get too far away from this, the Watch Dogs Legion source code got leaked out basically as a direct result of the exact same thing happening to Ubisoft. And Ubisoft correctly did not play ball, and thus the source code for Legion came out. However, there was some very interesting technical data in this that as like the programming, like how the game is actually built. And I was sitting in Discord with some friends of mine, one of which has been a QA lead for decades and is also a programmer, and two other career programmers. And none of them, like my friend in QA has done game dev, right? But the other two haven't, right? But we're sitting there and they're all just staring at these programming blocks, and they start to swear and go, "Oh no," and "What the fuck is this?" And I, as not a programmer, not a person who understands even the rough explanation that was given to me, had to ask for many explanations. I actually had my friend type it out for me. But basically some screenshots came out of what the Watch Dogs scripting language looks like. And it is bordering on very similar to a programming language called Scratch, which is a programming language to teach children how to program. It is a basic ass programming language. And with that, I'm actually just going to quote my friend who knows a lot more from me than I do. From what the leaks show, the programming language for Watch Dogs is written in a Scratch-like language or some other kind of block-based programming language. These coding languages are essentially designed to do one of two things: teach introduction to how to code, or provide a somewhat easy to digest visualization of the code. The second is really common, depending on the department the code is from and the tool being used. For example, Riot uses in-house thing for their animation tools, such as when this starts, here's the code sequence of animations played based on certain circumstances. However, in this Watch Dogs thing, that doesn't appear to be the case. The code snippet in question is the damage AI multiplier logic, aka something you'd want on the back end and want optimized. The code snippet probably runs on every single damage hit based on the melee dot is in bare knuckle line. So they have their back-end coders writing in a basic level introduction to coding script. On top of that, the code seems to be a sequence of if statements. Not even if else, but just if. Essentially, every single hit, they're checking multiple cases to correct this damage multiplier value. If statements are costly for optimization and are probably bogging down the resources every time this trigger is called. Every single if statement needs to be checked, and every time the function is called, every time damage is calculated. And this is only one function. So Ubisoft's games, Ubisoft's fucking Watch Dogs Legion and Valhalla run like goddamn shit on PC. And this code link seems to explain that the reason why Ubisoft games run so badly on many platforms is because they're in fact not optimized at all, and they're just brute forcing like probabilities of, did you shoot them? If so, check 100 different factors.
Yeah.
Right?
Now
it sounds like a mess.
Yeah, that is. I do not code at all. The closest thing I ever had towards coding was Mugen, and my understanding of that was based on Mugen specific formatting and such. But that, to me, the first thing that comes to mind, and this is just raw third ass chamber pull. So I have no idea. But that sounds to me like it's directly linked to the way Ubisoft hires, specifically in Montreal and Toronto, where we have Ubi School. And Ubi School is where people here can go directly from a post-high school program into game training, game programming, level developing, like what level designing, all these different things that are like parts of how to make a game. They have a school specifically that teaches you in the Ubisoft way of making games, and it teaches you their specific style and flowchart. At which point then they, poach from that class whatever they need for the year, because they have a very large list of employees and a rotating door. So they just pull in new people straight from Ubi schools and throw them on projects regularly, because they basically are like, training their own new people up. And that leads to a lot of new talent that is not fully experienced being, on these teams. It also leads to a problem where a lot of these classes would create a situation where now you have, let's say they hired, 7 out of a class of 30 people that all graduated in level design. You now have 23 people that have, nowhere to really go get hired. And then they all go out and make that level design job that's available at that one other small studio at the moment really, really insanely competitive. And of course, this drops down the rate at which you have to pay these people, because it becomes a hiring market. But yeah, that sounds like something that could be directly tied to the fact that they're pulling people out of Ubi schools.
That's a piece of context that's actually really important, because like the long and short of it, after talking to my friends for a while, is like they're like, this stuff needs to be on the back end and you need to optimize the shit out of it. And if you don't, every part of it's going to run like shit. And this is like a single function for like firing a bullet.
Yeah, now that doesn't explain why senior programmers and senior team members wouldn't be doing things more efficiently and better. That doesn't explain that at all. But who knows how stretched thin the teams are, Who knows where the juniors are taking full control and responsibility while the seniors are managing some other aspect of the game entirely, or putting out some other fires, Wild. That's a wild one. It's not often that you get a story. In fact, I don't think I can't think of. Yeah, perhaps the only other time something similar has happened was with Yandere Simulator, I guess, right? Where it's like something leaks and then people look at it and go, "Oh, this is made really, really inefficiently.
It's made bad."
You don't often get a crack at you don't often get a crack at source code criticism in video games.
Yeah, the Sony leaks showed off like just. Dude, why did you build your store like this? Why did you build your security like this? What crack were you smoking? Why would anyone do it like this?
Mm-hmm. Did anyone have anything to say, I wonder, about the source code for Mario 64? Because, that shit fucking came out, right?
Yeah.
I know that they found... I'm going to get the details wrong here, but I remember there was a case where there was a game on... the WiiWare shop, and it might have been Majesco or some other company like that, or Infogrames or something, where the game used an emulator. It actually used I think it was a Game Boy or a SNES emulator, and you could see the usage of it in the source code for the WiiWare game. And after they found that, it was a huge what the fuck, Nintendo's using emulators, and this whole crazy thing went down. And it was no, it turns out that this producer or this publisher ended up using a small team somewhere to port this game, and this small team did it, and then the whole thing, it was a gigantic mess. But essentially someone found emulation code in a WiiWare game once, and like that led to a whole thing that, was like, is Nintendo fucking using emu? Like, what is this? But and then it turns out it wasn't.
If I had to pull out a single game that people were able to criticize directly for every decision that they made at every point, it would be the original version of Final Fantasy XIV, where every single thing that happened in the game was a script, and it would pull the server off of every button press in every menu.
That's insane. That's fucking insane. Jesus Christ.
Like,
yeah.
it wouldn't pull the server for, did you choose to say yes, delete that item? It would pull the server for you mousing over to the item and clicking the item, and like, oh my god, like, why would you do it like that?
The game I was talking about is not the Cooking Mama scam with the fucking with the mining, the data mining and all that. That was another thing. I'm not talking about Cooking Mama. I'm talking about another game way older, years ago. Unfortunately I don't remember the name of the game or the company that
oh my god.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat points out, I don't know if I can't confirm this, but they say that Monster Hunter World updates their flags in cutscenes, which is why you're not allowed to skip cutscenes.
It doesn't. You don't get this often, or just like the people who are like where the programming itself is not doing. But here's the other thing, right?
Well, you don't get it often in a public setting.
Yeah.
You and I have heard tons of people complain privately about, I can't believe this fucking shit works like this. But that's not exactly the same.
Something else I've learned about programming too over the years, again, especially since the Mugen days, has been that even when your shit is clean, there is always someone who can come along and look at it and get it way cleaner. So there's always someone who's just way better that can look at it and be like, what the fuck is all this? What are you doing? And then just do a way better job, There's
a reason why John Carmack's a genius.
Straight up. And you will see help forums when people are looking for help on like, how to write arguments out properly, or how to do how to code certain things. And then people will come in with multiple solutions, and then like you will just see like the different skill levels at play coming in. There's always someone that can clean it up more, even a little bit, Yeah, it is exactly
Code's
like
an art and
it's
art.
It's exactly like art, So there's a point at which you kind of look at it and go, that's acceptable for shipping. Go ahead.
So what you're saying is that Einstein could have really optimized the shit out of some anime titty game? That's what you're saying?
I mean, if not his brain, then whose?
If not his brain, then whose?
The most accurate and realistic jiggle physics we've never seen.
You brought it up a million years ago, and I think about it every time I think of devs showing off some technical thing. No, I think about Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball 2, where they showed off the independent boob physics as like characters' hairs were like clipping directly through their torsos.
Yes.
That was the one.
Priorities. Let's take some letters.
Hey, if you want to send in a letter, you can send it into castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com. That's castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com. However, if you have a cute dog or cat and you want to send me a photo of them because I love them, you can send that to @PatStaresAt. Not as cute as this dog or my cat, but they're pretty cute, I bet.
r/dogtax.
You smush face.
When you mention your dog, you got to pay the dog tax by posting pictures. So there's a whole subreddit for it.
Yeah, pretty much every time somebody says, hey, me and my dog are watching you, and I go, send me photos of your dog on Twitter. Because dog.
You know what? I'll say. Well, let me get the exact name of it.
I'm so excited for the end of this podcast because when the podcast ends, then I can get to eat chili.
You did hit the chili button, didn't you?
I hit the chili button. I've been eating chili pretty much nonstop for like 3 days. I'll be really real. It's bad in here. It's not great.
Are you? I mean, chili has its trade-offs.
Welcome home. Welcome home, honey.
Yeah, no fucks given, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, she made the chili. It was one of the first things she did when she came home. What a sweet lady.
If you follow Acoustic Trench on YouTube or on Instagram, it is digital happiness because it is someone playing very nice, soothing music, and they always have a picture of they always film it with their dog, and they're always in a peaceful location, and it's digital serotonin. So I'm gonna bump Acoustic Trench out of nowhere. If you see,
wow,
like,
that's a good channel.
Yeah, if you watch, I'd say for starters, watch the one with the weird, like with the yellow flowers and the dog staring at him, and then he's got the little finger plucker thing. Just watch that one for starters, and feel the serotonin. It is bar none the most wholesome thing on the internet. Like,
well, I don't know about
with a bullet.
I don't know about wholesome, but if we're just telling people YouTube channels that we like, probably my favorite YouTube channel that you might not expect that I would like is a guy called Primitive Technology.
Primitive Technology rules.
Just
fuck
I'm
yeah.
gonna go out into the woods.
So it
and
turns
I'm gonna
out
use my hands to build everything.
A single tool. It's a little digging thing, and I'm gonna build an entire hotel room out of the ground. FYI, so it turns out, where is he digging up all this shit in the jungle? He bought acres of land.
Oh,
so he's walking on his own property to different parts of it and just making rooms in the ground or pools.
Listen, I'm gonna run through about 400 years of industrial technological advancement in about a 22-minute YouTube video.
The funniest part is whenever he's done at the end, and he just, like, if he makes a bed, he'll just, like, lie on the bed for a while and, like, stretch out for, like, 2 seconds to just be like, oh, look at me relaxing. Or, look, I'm putting water on me. I'm in my pool. Look, I'm swimming and enjoying it. All right, time to get out and dig another hut. You know?
Time to get out and probably leave this thing to be destroyed by the elements.
Yeah.
And not maintain it at all.
No, that man would have been a god in the Bronze Age. Like, easy. But yeah, Acoustic Trench. Fucking just 12 on 10. Let's take a letter over here from Robin. Says, hey, Willie and Pat, Rob from Pennsylvania here.
Hey, man, what's up?
Hell of a state. The question is more for Pat, as I believe he played DoD in the past. But now that Willie has some FPS experience under his belt, he should be able to chime in. In Day of Defeat, which weapon is better, the Kar 98K or the M1 Garand? Some info for getting Wooly up to speed. The Kar 98 would kill in one shot no matter the location hit, even if it was someone's toe. It had pixel perfect accuracy, but for being a bolt action rifle, it had a very slow rate of fire. On the other hand, the Garand would be quite fast, and about as fast as the BR in Halo without burst fire. Would one shot on hits to the head and the chest, anywhere else took 2. It wasn't super accurate like the Kar 98. You can't reload until you run the gun dry. I think you know the iconic ping of a Garand running out of ammo.
Yeah.
Which is better? Well, I have a feeling on that statement without any info on the game. I'm going to go ahead and say that based on the fact that the downside of the Garand, or rather the downside of the Car 98 you've described is that the accuracy is, if any, the player would be the issue. I would say higher skill ceiling makes sense for that to be considered the better gun, because in the hands of someone playing properly, you can do more damage with it.
Now, before I continue on in this, I'm actually going to go with what I consider to be probably the most hipster answer I could possibly give, which is my actual favorite gun on the one button is the Enfield on Jagged. But it's identical to the K98, but I prefer the sound effects for it.
Why did you grab your head?
Because I had that argument for like 200 hours.
Okay.
So the K98 is objectively better than the M1 Garand if you can guarantee that you will hit the shot.
Exactly.
This is the M1 Garand. You can get 3 shots out before the K98 will get the second one.
The definitive answer to this question is based on the skill level of the person playing. It's a hard. You can't ping it because you can't ping it to a certain spot, because it's like, if your accuracy is shit, then you better go for the one that'll compensate for bad accuracy. You know, it's asking how much of an assist you want. You know,
my old screen name, Snapshot King, was specifically earned from playing with the K98 or the Enfield in maps that supported it and coming around a corner, because the thing is that, yeah, they both had melee hits, but if you had the K98 or the Enfield, it was just as dangerous within a couple feet as it was at long ranges, because if you got a person's body entirely over the bloom of the reticle, it was just a death machine. Like, you would, if you pointed directly at them from close enough, they would just die, and they would die in one frame. So if you were really, really good about taking corners, you could turn a bolt-action rifle into like a hallway crawler. Like, you just go in the little hallway parts of maps and just hug the corners and just pop people the instant you saw them. You would often run into situations where you and an M1 guy and a K98 guy would be at the ass ends of the map plunking away at each other. And when you're that far away, it's hard to hit somebody in the spot that you want. They're dots on the horizon. And if they're dots on the horizon, it's way more likely that you're going to hit their foot or their arm or whatever part of their body doesn't instantly kill them with the Garand versus the K98, which is ice them instantly.
So I'm sure Day of Defeat, like any other video game, had a meta that was determined by the best players in the game. Right?
Absolutely.
So the best players in the game, in any game, will represent the peak of the skill you can apply.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. And they will, like, things that go beyond where they're at get into, what if you're a human aimbot, right? Then what does this even apply? And it's like, well, no one's a human aimbot, right? But
what if your human aimbot became a really bizarre problem in the very first version of Day of Defeat, because the sniper rifle didn't have any unscoped sway to it, so you would just take a Sharpie and then put a dot in your screen, of your monitor, and it would be a railgun. It would be an infinite range railgun.
Yeah. Okay. And
then they changed that.
Everything was hit scan.
Yeah, it's all hit scan.
Yeah, okay.
The way they did it in Day of Defeat and the way that it shook out is that the K98 dominated the long range encounters because it's one hit kill. But in general, the allies had better automatic weapons, except for the huge machine gun ones, which would be the MG 42 for the Nazis. So the allies tended to excel at all the medium ranges, whereas the Nazis excelled at the longer ones.
Yeah, so
Now
I would,
these are like 5% differences. They're not like the end of the world kind of thing.
but I think I think you can just say though that, like, there's this discussion always happens, but like you can't really make a statement on, like, you can't, like, the skill level of the people who are at the top of the meta are the ones that can pretty much call out what is best when it comes to user error versus like perfection at all times. There are games, there are competitive games of just about every genre where certain races or certain cards or styles of play are like unstoppable if flawless, but execution is like impossibly hard or approaching it. And someone can say that on paper, in theory, if every single time you landed this, you would win and it would just be like a complete game over, then you'd be the best. And someone plays the game enough to get to that point. When that person exists, then the meta changes.
Yeah, it's what happened with the BAR on the Allies. It would be that big machine gun that's almost always depicted with the tripod on it. That thing kicked like a fucking mule, but it did a ton of damage and was otherwise accurate. It's just the recoil was out of control. And once people started to get good with that, oh my god, that thing dominated all the automatics.
But until that person exists,
that person existed very quickly.
You can't. You like. There's no point. It doesn't apply. You can't. You can't bring it up.
That person. That was in the heyday of Counter-Strike and Day of Defeat being new. Those people just spontaneously came into being, like, right away. It was really weird. Like, just immediately, people started to get real good at this style of first-person shooter. It's funny because the talk about the K98 actually allows me to talk about my most disappointing game I have ever played in my entire life, and that is Day of Defeat Source. And it is the fastest I have gone from the most hyped game ever to a game that I played like one match and never again. You remember Counter-Strike Source came out and everybody was excited because of CS Source? Well, Day of Defeat Source came out, and oh my god, I was so excited. And I loaded into, god, what goddamn match was it? I loaded into Avalanche. Of course it was Avalanche. And I picked Grenadier, pressed 1, played the Axis role, got my K98, pointed it at a motherfucker, shot him, it hit him in the arm, and he didn't die. And I fucking turned off, I exited the game, and I fucking uninstalled it, and I have never played it again. Like, that gun was just like, I don't know what you guys think you are doing to this game. But you took a gun that's entire lifespan and identity was it kills you no matter where it hits, but it has a really long reload, and it's a railgun, and you turned it into a shitty whatever. I don't want to play this game. I don't want to play this game anymore. I'm going to go back to old Day of Defeat. Thank you. I want to walk out of a corner and instantly die and watch the kill cam and not be able to tell who shot me and where they are.
Man, fuck Brood Wars. I'm going back to StarCraft Original.
I don't think anybody ever said that. I don't think that's
fuck these lurkers.
That was a very actually, yeah, I did. Yeah, I do remember that. Fuck these lurkers. That people got bad. Fuck these goddamn Dark Templars. Oh my god. Oh man, people were so mad.
Dark Archons. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like you fucking patched Street Fighter 2 and the Shoryu didn't have any invincibility on it anymore.
Or it
And
didn't knock you down. It didn't
or
knock you down.
if the Shoryu didn't knock you down,
That's
and
a
you're
thing.
like, this game is pointless. This game has no value anymore.
Yeah, there
I
are
am out.
There are about 8,000 fighting game similarities that I deliberately opted to not bring up in that conversation on purpose.
Just like the desires of the devs are so far away from what I actually want that I am done.
James
Cute.
says, Dear CSB, I'm literally sending this email after seeing an ad on YouTube that said this. Is buying an unskippable ad rude? Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I'm teaching a class on Watch Dogs Legion. Click the link. What are some of the worst ads you've had to suffer through? That sounds pretty bad. That sounds really bad. I am, like, I've been railing against this, but there's a pattern to, like, shitty news sites now and AdSense where the entire marketing plan seems to be grossing you into clicking. So I've talked about the weird mouth shit and the earwax, but it's not just that. There's a lot of times where you'll go to a news site, for example, you'll be reading an article, and then you get to the bottom, and then they've got to show you like 4 screenshots of fake articles that are just an ad for some other bullshit site. And the screenshots are all like questions that are stupid, but it'll show you something like, it'll be like anti-aging cream does amazing things, right?
Sure.
Or whatever. But the picture is just a really zoomed up, weirdly saturated version of an old lady's face so that the lines and creases look unnatural and weird and like cracks, you know? Or they'll just zoom in on like, I don't know, like almonds, but they'll zoom in on the almonds in a way that makes them look like shit. And it'll just be made to gross you out for a second and then stare at it and go, what is that? And then go, oh, they're just almonds. But what the... And that whole moment got your attention. It's a new form of fake out gross advertising. There's real gross advertising that still exists, and fuck all that shit. But the fake out gross shit where, you know, where they're playing with your basically your brain's like recognition of shapes and faces. God, fuck that. And I guarantee you it is a matter of years before we start seeing deep dream, like AI generated images of things that don't exist, but for some reason data has proven that people will click on them, like Leffenbot style shit, where it's just like, you don't know what this is, but the shapes of this thumbnail look like things that you kind of recognize, and it has gotten the most people to click on it, so we're going to start showing you that. It's coming, for sure.
So, I don't see a lot of ads on the internet for whatever reason. But what I do see often is promoted posts on Twitter.
Ah, yeah,
And
that's come up a bit.
If you want to have a good time, I have a recommendation for you. Go through the trouble to block and mute every single promoted post you ever see on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually they will like start diving deep into the weirder ads that are technically in their thing, and you will get fucking goofball, out of your region, not your language shit that is like nightmarish and hilarious. Like,
Okay.
I got a goddamn ad for like a fucking I think it was like a Pakistani like lawn mowing service or something.
Yeah.
Like just
They're the only
complete
buyers you
nonsense.
didn't. They're the only auction buyers you didn't kick out of the room. Yeah.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
only it's like, yes. Hey, do you want to do the Xbox? Yeah, you're getting blocked. This one weird trick, cop hates it. What yada yada. But like, no, give me the weird ads from countries I don't live in. I'll look at that.
Also, shout
Don't
outs
buy a
to
goddamn thing.
just the annoyingness of Reddit doing a trending video now thing where like it's not necessarily ads, it's just here's a live trending video that people are watching that's going to pop up every couple of posts, and you can't really get rid of it forever. You can turn off a lot of shit, you can't really turn that off permanently. Always comes back on.
There's a news story we missed.
Which one?
There's a news story we missed from PureXbox.com. Customer reportedly receives Xbox One X instead of Xbox Series X.
I did
Quote,
see that.
Yes, I end quote.
Triple checked. What is the store that sent them?
Telstra in Australia. After contacting the company, they were reportedly told to go through the return process and order a new one.
Oh my god. It gets worse than parent confusion marketing.
Yeah, now it's store confusion.
Oh. Retailer confusion.
How could anyone have seen this thing that every single person saw coming?
Oh god. And yeah, they're not on your side when it's their fuck up. Oh, fuck.
Amazon, send me my PS5. I bought it.
You mean this PS3 and this PS2 taped together?
That would be pretty funny. I would laugh at that. I could turn that into Twitter content, but no, seriously, give me my PS5. I bought it. I bought it.
Killer naming convention. Good nomenclature. All right.
Incredible that Sony was able to make the best sounding console by literally just putting another number on it. That's stupid.
I can't wait for the mid-generation upgrade.
Oh, the do you know what it's going to be fucking called? It's going to be called
the XS.
Xbox Series XS.
XS. Of course it is. We know that it's just putting the two together. No question.
Or XL. XL would be really stupid. Oh, man. The new Xbox Series X, Series Plus.
How are those things doing on the pre-order hell?
I have no idea. People aren't complaining quite as much that they aren't getting theirs, so probably better than the PS5.
Do you imagine you'll grab one eventually?
I have a Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
No, Phil Spencer confirmed that I will never buy an Xbox. He actually, in an interview like 2 weeks ago, said that every Xbox exclusive will come to PC.
Oh. So my Xbox is in the mail then?
Just straight up. Yeah, your Xbox is in the mail, Wooly.
It's actually
in the mail right now.
Well, shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, but
isn't that nice?
No, they're okay. Every exclusive will come to PC.
Yeah.
But not
Yeah.
console exclusive games. For example, like Special Edition, DMC4.
Well, that's why you have
5.
a PS5.
Yes, but there will be stuff that there will be stuff that'll go one way or the other way on it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Microsoft.
I might just grab one. I might still grab
whatever.
one. You know, we'll see.
Okay. All right, that's it for the podcast. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Y'all have a good weekend. Wait, oh my God, it's Monday.
It's Monday. But I will wish everybody a good weekend because I will not see you this week. I will see you all next week. So that works for me. But you need to get your affairs in order.
Fuck it.